Towards the Niki Lauda curve, bumping and banging and into the wall. That is a horrible crash.
Too wide now, door to door. Max Verstappen among the doctors. Max Verstappen able to safely rejoin, but slots it right in front of another car.
Carousel immediately, he gets punted off. That was Saavedra. Aguilar, he's gone off. He's been tapped and he's into the barriers. Oh, the rejoin. Oh no.
Dean. Oh, Pedro, Dean.
Oh, Chris Lallum does have the inside track for the Swiss left. If he's able to make that pass happen, he might be able to cut away Victorino. He does make that pass, and he makes it clean as they come into the right hand. And this is it. Chris Lallum seizes the opportunity and makes it. And just as the end, the rain comes to put a pin onto the end of the race, and Chris Lallum takes it.
Pedro Zuba into the wall.
It's actually Valero. Valero's actually gone off into the barriers, coming up to the cutting.
David Todd making his way back up, is already climbed 7 positions.
Oh, I spoke too soon there. Zende goes up.
So right now, this is going to be where it's going to get shaken up. David Todd passes them while they are in the pit through the mountain straight now, going 3 wide.
Oh my word, that is probably one of the best shows of the entire season.
So we have 3-way battle going to the most dangerous turn of the mountain. Up the mountain, we have contact right there. These guys going absolutely crazy. It's going to come down to the final corner, Murray's corner. Who is going to have to lead? We may have a drag race to the finish line on our hands, folks. You see David Todd right now going into the pit lane.
we go, racing for heat number 1 here in Austria. Over AMX 20 in towards the Niki Lauda curve, bumping and banging and into the wall. That is a horrible crash. That's a huge lunge from Gaston Calabi, and he's made contact with, I believe, oh wow, it's a chaotic moment here. No slipstream in front for either car, and you can just see Peter Silva pushing Florian Labigra right over.
Here we go then, Valeri, he looks left, he looks right, he's going to the right hand side, which is the inside going 8 to 10-3.
Here it is. This is the crucial moment in this race. And it's looking like it's only going one way. David Dott is going to take the race lead. Heading into the second half of the season, the Hungarian of David Dott has driven a masterclass here with the early pit stop. Not the ideal strategy, but an ideal race winner and an excellent performance.
To save our home, we must travel through the gateway to find new energy.
As we overlook the beautiful Okayama circuit in Japan, one of the most famous racing circuits in the entire country, we're gearing up for what should be a great time in the Volkswagen Jetta TDIs. Everyone, welcome back to Season 6 of AMX ZERO, the AMX Sim Racing World Championship. I am Kevin, and joining me alongside today is Julian. Julian, we've had a lot of great races so far for AMX ZERO this season, as well as previous seasons, but what we've got going on today, I've already seen a couple of drivers to keep an eye on, which we will get into later on. But, I mean, already being here for a couple races this season, what are you hoping that we get to see out here today?
I mean, pretty much what you said, what we've seen all season, just great battles from lights out to the flag. I mean, it's been the battles we've had in AMX ZERO, I would say, are the best ones we've had this season. And I think that trend will keep going. I hope so, certainly, because with this current track combo, I think we're in for a great race. And as you said, we've got some special guests with us today.
Absolutely. But before we get into that and check on our qualifying, we have a few things to go over. Like we said, AMX ZERO, a little bit different format than the rest of the races. But for all of you watching, make sure to follow all of our social media, as well as head over to our website. Get all the latest news, information, schedules, etc. We have a lot going on, as well as a lot of feedback from the fans, a lot of feedback from the drivers for what's going to be happening in the future. So make sure to stay tuned for that. But like we said, AMX ZERO, things are a little bit different out here. It is free and open for everyone to join. We've been out here this season since September 7th, and we're going all the way through November 17th with this season's prize pool of $11,000 plus next level racing gear. The format is as follows for our AMX ZERO races. We got our 15-minute qualifier, followed by a top 15 reverse grid, going into heat number 1 of 20 minutes, followed by that second top 15 reverse grid, and that final heat number 2 of 20 minutes. So we got 15, 20, 20 for our AMX ZERO races. For all of our drivers out there, driver cams are required. You can get the link via our AMX Discord or on the website. And balances are paid out in balances over $100 every single month. So once your account hits over $100, that money's headed your ways. And we are here every single Saturday and Sunday this season. Like I mentioned, you can get signed up anytime over at amxrace.com. We're every single Saturdays and Sundays. Every Saturday we got AMX ZERO going on at 5:50 p.m. GMT, followed by AMX 5 right after at 7:10 p.m. Every other Sunday we're switching it up. We got AMX 10 at 5:50 p.m. followed by the double header right after at 7:30 p.m. And then on the opposite weeks we got AMX 15 mini endurance races going on at 5:50 p.m. The AMX ZERO prize pool goes as followed. It is the same for qualifying as well as heats 1 and 2. First place taking home $5, second place $4, third place gets $3, and points all the way down into 15th place. During heat 1 and heat 2, the fastest lap will get an extra dollar tacked onto their prize for a total prize pool per race of $73. Like I said, it is entirely free for anyone to join. You want to get in here, have some fun, win a little bit of money. AMX ZERO is the place to do that. And like we mentioned, we're out here at Okayama today, Japan. Beautiful scenery, just such a unique culture, everything, especially the racing culture. But Julian, I mean, I know this is going to be a great one of those tracks that a lot of people in iRacing are already very familiar from the Junior Series.
Absolutely. It's one of those tracks which, it's one of your first races. You know, you're probably in the MX-5 around here and you've just been practicing, hoping to get your first iRacing podium. Anyway, we're in the city of Masaka. My Japanese is not too good, but I would say I pronounced that rather well. In Japan, first opened in 1990 with a track length of just over 3.7 kilometers long. Like we said, this is a classic, a staple when it comes to iRacing, especially in these lower powered machineries, which we will get into right now. Here she is then, the absolute beauty, the Volkswagen, which these drivers will be tackling around the Okayama track. And it is a Jetta TDI then with 168 horsepower, four-wheel drive, so expect a bit more understeer than oversteer today. 1,379 kilos, and the gearbox, well, it's those paddle shifters behind the wheel with a sequential gearbox.
And looking at those cars, for a lot of people out there that don't know it, that one, for being a German car, it was used in the SCCA, as you can see right there on the side of the door. So only used in an American series for the most part. Kind of a bit of an odd combination. And we also have currently in iRacing the SCCA spec Ford. So those ones a little bit more of a proper race car rather than a Jetta. But nonetheless, those, the MX-5s, the Formula Vs, tons of junior level series out here. And speaking of junior series, we have a lot of drivers out here. Like I mentioned with AMX ZERO open for everyone to join. We want a lot of people. I've joined in a few races, had a great time. But also we have quite a few pro drivers in here as well. Some drivers from the real world as well as the esports world. A lot of people out here we've got to see. Right now, Martin Chico, of course, one of the members of the SART racing team. A lot of the guys from South America. Big shout out to the Argentinians, Brazilians. Speaking of Brazilians, we do have a couple Brazilians. Perfect timing. Speaking of real-life racing drivers as well, the likes of Dudu Barrichello as well as Felipe Barrichello. So for those of you, if you're wondering, wait a minute, the Barrichello, that last name, it sounds kind of familiar. That is because Dudu Barrichello is the son of the former F1 driver Rubens Barrichello. So definitely I would expect maybe a little bit of pressure with his surname out here, but definitely it's going to be a great time. As well as everyone out there, you can scan the QR code on the screen to see all of the live timing information out here, get a lot more of what's going on track.
Yes, and you can just see, we've got quite a few drivers today. You can see they're already slipstreaming in qualifying then, as yeah, we're pretty much just over halfway through now, Kevin. And how do you think this race is going to pan out with this track and car combo?
I mean, out here we are on the shorter layout out here at Okayama, so I feel it's going to be a pretty decent car combination out here. I mean, of course, one of the biggest things we've seen some of these drivers, especially they were mentioning Barrichello, which it is absolutely no problem. So Eduardo Dudu Barrichello right now currently sitting in that top spot. So that real life racing as well as his sim experience, definitely putting on a great show out here so far. But like we said, back to your question of how the cars are going to fare out on this track. I feel like, again, this is one of those, it's great when we see in the MX-5s, it's great when we see in the Formula Vs or the Formula Fords, but in something like this where it is front-wheel drive, I think what we've got to see, even from the TCR cars this season, is that a lot of this is going to be about patience, pushing it right to the edge, but not pushing it too hard. These cars do love to understeer, so these guys will really have to take lines that really just flow through corner to corner, especially we have a bit of that home straight where typically a lot of these courses, I expect to see a lot of moves going into turns number 1 and 2. A bit dangerous moves, but I think in these cars, knowing that they don't have too many places to overtake out here, that's going to be one very opportunistic place.
Yeah, and you said about keeping it consistent and keeping the flow going. The last turn, if you understeer just a wee bit too much, so you will find yourself probably facing the wrong way and in the gravel trap. So you got to find that fine line between pushing, where you can get a good run onto the main straight, which is probably the best place to make the overtake with the slipstream and the run towards turn 1. But you don't want to push too hard to where, you're in the gravel trap and you're P16 and, well, reverse grid, it's only for the top 15. So right now, Godoy, he's not going to take advantage of that reverse grid for Heat 1.
Absolutely, and looking at the timing screen, I mean, there are quite a few people out here that are used to open wheel cars. That's really where they shine. I mean, the likes of, like we said, in real life, from Dudu Barrichello, as well as seeing out there Bruno De Carmo. We've got to see a lot of the Delinta esports drivers, of course, out here from Brazil. So Brazil really representing today, as well as seen a few names that we don't see too often as well. The likes of Gustavo Bartz. We got a couple people, like I said, Martin Chico. It's great to see him back out here. I know we got to see him a couple seasons ago, very consistent. This season, we got to see a lot of these drivers. I feel like just the timing of this season, summer and fall, very big in the esports communities. A lot of special events going on, a lot of professional events as well. I know there's quite a few drivers that I would love to see coming up later on, but I know that they have other responsibilities, other races going on. But still out here, I mean, a great showing. We have 17 drivers currently out there on the grid for AMX ZERO. So definitely, I think interesting is going to be the word that we can use to describe how today's going to go.
Absolutely, it's hard to really pinpoint, oh, this is gonna happen going into turn one, or going onto the main straight, this is gonna happen. It's more of like, this could happen, will it happen? Probably, but you're not too sure. I mean, if you look at the qualifying gaps right now, you've got the top two, Dudu Barrichello and Chico, very close together. Then you've got a small gap, but then look at that, all the way from P3 to P5, separated by, I mean, if you can go all the way down to P8, separated by just about 1/10. And based on qualifying gaps, that gap is just going to keep getting smaller heading into the two heats we've got coming up.
And so going back to some of the drivers on grid, like I said, of real life drivers, we also have Simon Demori, who of course got to see out there racing in real life now. So it's really great to see a lot of drivers both in the sim. We have people that are like myself, kind of rookies in the sim world, all the way up to professionals, everywhere from people that do this as a hobby just for fun, all the way to these guys doing pro esports. So I think that is the beauty of AMX, especially really getting to see it this season. A lot of these guys from all over the world, all over different backgrounds, different skill levels, putting it down out here and having a great time, especially putting that top 15 reverse grid into it. It's not just going to be, hey, we have the fastest driver in qualifying, just going to walk away with it. Nope, he is going to have to earn it. And right now that's looking like Dudu Barrichello is definitely going to have to earn it if he wants to come back out here. Already showing, like we said, between even just the top three, how close the timing is right now. Less than less than a tenth of a second separating the top two drivers. So I mean, like I said, it's really hard to find grip out here, especially once the track starts warming up. Right now it's about 32 degrees out there, so like we said, a little bit on the warmer side, not too crazy. The track temp itself about 46, almost 47 degrees, so that's something we'll have to keep an eye out on there. As the track warms up, it's definitely going to start cooking these tires, being front wheel drive vehicles. A lot of that grip going down. Like we said, only 20-minute races, but towards the end of the race, we'll see where these guys are at. As now we see Bruno De Carmo out there, of course, AMX veteran, is kind of currently in the middle of the pack. However, like we said, a lot of these drivers, whether they are used to front-wheel drive vehicles, rear-wheel drive vehicles, it's great to see them get out here, really push themselves no matter what the car they're in.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes a driver, being able to adapt to the car, to the track. I mean, sure, if you're good at open wheeler, but you can't control a GT car, you won't get very far in a championship. Sure, in a race where every couple of races are open wheelers, but then the rest of them are like these Volkswagens or just regular GT3s, you will struggle. So being a well-rounded driver definitely helps in these competitions. And also, getting through the pack at a track like this where the grid is already super close, it's going to be very interesting to see, especially from the likes of Dudu Barrichello, Chico, and those guys, getting from P15, P14, P13 through to what's already some quick drivers ahead of them who are not too far behind them in quality. I mean, that's going to be absolutely brilliant to see.
And looking out there too, so another one of the drivers, so like I said, a couple of these guys out here from Brazil representing, well, quite a few from Brazil out here representing today, but as well, Felipe Barrichello Bartz, Dudu Barrichello, these guys also have experience in the stock car racing out there as well, so that is definitely going to help them. So far it has, as qualifying comes to an end, we have our top 15 set. Top 16 looks like Pedro Garcia is the only driver not to set an official lap time out there. Hopefully we get to see him make it to the grid. Not sure if he is entirely out, but like I said, only the top 15, so that's the likes of Nico Godoy, and unfortunately Pedro Garcia going to be having to start from the very back, not making it into that top 15 for qualifying. But there we go, folks, your BenQ session winner up on that top step for qualifying. We got Eduardo Dudu Barrichello in first place with a 1 minute flat .6, followed by Martin Chico in second, Pedro Encinas in third, Felipe Bartz in fourth place, Alberto Senao fifth, Simon de Mori in sixth place, Ruben Llorente Jr. seventh, Pedro Mura in eighth, Gustavo Bartz ninth, Miguel Araujo 10th place, 11th, Bruno De Carmo 12th, Samuel Burnett 13th, Evandro Dantas 14th, Diego Villarreal, and to round out our top 15 reverse grid, we will have Felipe Spetronev, who will get pulled. Nico Godoy, Pedro Garcia, unfortunately, like I mentioned, be starting all the way from the back. So with that as well, seeing some of the other guys, I forgot to mention as well, Gustavo Bartz. So I'll have to double check, but I am going to say that he is going to be related to Felipe somehow. But like I said, we'll have to get confirmation. I don't want to assume things out here. As our drivers are now getting ready to grid, we have a couple drivers left to grid on the field.
Yep, one of them being the pole sitter. He's still making his way. It's going to be, I'm so excited for this. I mean, 17 drivers. You got the quick guys at the back trying to make their way through at a track which it's not the easiest to overtake at.
Definitely. I think for me, I'm most excited, like I said, as the green flag is off, our driver's going. Ooh, a great start from the middle of the field. Wow, what an absolute, the number 16 right there, making its name known. That is Bruno De Carmo. Bruno De Carmo coming out here with a vengeance immediately, as we see there. Diego Villarreal getting a little bit of contact. Ooh, and off the track right away towards the back. That looks like that is Bartz and Burnett. So two drivers immediately getting caught up towards the back. We knew it was going to be a bit chaotic out here. These guys getting back out on the cold tires for lap number one. But just like that, folks, lap one shenanigans have ensued. Felipe Spetronev able to lead the pack as well as Bruno De Carmo. So we have the two Brazilian drivers now looking to get away from everyone else. So we're going three wide out here. We'll see if these folks barely able to hold it onto the track. So that is probably the only good thing that we've seen with these not being crazy horsepower vehicles, is although they're door to door. Oh, more contact in the back. That looks like, again, we have Bartz, Llorente, and Encinas there. So much going on, and it's only lap one out here, Julian.
Three abreast there, going into the final corner. Someone spun and he's collected up just about, and I think someone got pinched. There was three wide going into the final corner. That was never going to work out, but Bruno De Carmo, he was aggressive. He was pushed out of the track, but he just would not budge, and that's put him up to P2. He had an absolutely flying start. Right now he's holding on to that P2 very well as the battle ensues for the podium positions and further behind. So close off the start, exactly what we thought with these qualifying gaps, just going for moves everywhere. You can see there in the background Barrichello looking to go around the outside, and I think he has just done that. Villarreal going maybe a bit easier on him, defending the inside, just had no chance like going into their left-hander.
Here we can see, so these guys already, the top two drivers got about a 1.2 second gap over the rest of the field. That would be still Spetronev in first, Bruno De Carmo in second, and we have Miguel Araujo. Well, getting really close, sorry. It's a 1.2 gap between Spetronev in first and De Carmo in second. Right now, De Carmo having to find off for that second place position, as well as going back down a little bit, about a 1 second gap between Barrichello and Simone de Mori in fifth place. So a couple places out here. I think these drivers now, after a couple laps in, starting to settle just a little bit, but nonetheless, we have great battles going on. There we can see how close the drivers are to each other's bumpers. I mean, right here, Julian, I really expect these drivers are just having to either force the move, like we said, not a lot of places to pass out here. So I expect a lot of door banging going on. Not sure, I mean, take that as you will as the drivers. Right here towards the inside, we see the number two. An excellent move there. Simon de Mori over Pedro Moore, now going door to door, side by side. Pedro Moore now having the better line on the next turn, but a lot of door banging. Getting squeezed to the outside is de Mori. He's trying to make it stick, trying to do what he can to hold on to this. Into the rear quarter panel and spinning. There goes Pedro Moura getting spun off the track. Simon de Mori now jumping up into that fourth place position. I know Pedro Moura not going to be too happy about that one.
I think Pedro Moura did not expect that Simon de Mori was still there with him. I thought he thought he was further in front, so his rear end just got tagged. But exactly what you said, try and force the move. That's exactly what Simon de Mori did there. Sent it up the inside, and he just would not move. He kept it on the outside in two corners, which is not the easiest thing to do in this type of machinery. So as you said, you either got to force the move or force the arrow from the car in front, which is easier said than done. You got to try and fake the move, almost scare them into braking late or spinning or going early on traction and just not getting a good run. It's 4D chess out here pretty much when you just can't get the move done. Almost like a social battle between these guys in the head, just as much as on the track. As we see now, Barrichello, he's made his way up nicely through the pack, then 10 moves gained, but also the likes of Miguel Araujo up 3 positions, Simon de Mori up 6 positions. So everyone's making moves, it seems like, here, and he's not done yet, as he is looking to chase down Simon de Mori, who's also made up quite a few places as individual battles are starting to form. You can see just up ahead with Okayama and Miguel Araujo also fighting away for P2, but they have closed in to the leader, Felix Martinez. So it's looking close. Then we could be on for a 5-way fight for the lead.
Absolutely, and a lot of these drivers towards the front of the pack as well. You know, they have quite a bit of experience out here. Like we said, some of these guys showing their prowess in the front-wheel drive vehicles. Some of them just showing how versatile they are no matter the vehicle that they're in. Of course, like we said, Barrichello right now has been the biggest mover of Heat 1, up 10 positions from where he started on the grid. We have Gerardo Encinas up 7, Simon de Mori up 6 positions. So we got a lot of drivers out here very capable of getting up into P1 or even at least up into a podium position. Like we said, folks, we are only on lap number 6 of 20 out here, and just so much has already happened. We're barely a quarter of the way through this heat, and so much has ensued. Like I said, one of the big things too, Bruno De Carmo, who we've seen not have quite the best run in some of these front-wheel drive vehicles. Like you said, we came out here seeing him off the start being very aggressive, and that's kind of the attitude you have to be in these types of vehicles.
I mean, yeah, the start is the place where the time you can gain positions, and if you can just park the bus for the rest of the race, you're in for a good position. He's currently in P2, and all of those positions he gained, all 3 of them were off the start, so an absolutely flying start there. And right now he's doing exactly what he needs to do, just placing the car everywhere where Miguel does not want his car to be, and he's doing that very well. And this final corner, I mean, they're centimeters away from the gravel there, using every piece of tarmac or surface that has got some sort of grip then, because I think we will see a move in the background there. Miguel Araujo going Simon de Mori going defensive, as the screen's lagging a bit. Hold up, can't really tell what's going on. As there we go, the race start incident in the picture-in-picture mode. You can just see, oh yeah, 3 abreast, and I think he just turned in there, didn't he, Kevin?
And sorry about that, folks. So just a little bit of technical difficulties going on out there. But then let's back to what the action is going on right now. Still, Miguel Araujo doing a great job from about 3 positions. So top 15 reverse grid, doing wonders for a lot of these guys out here so far. Been putting out a lot of really close moments. Lap number 7 of 20. These guys going into Svechinov seeming very comfortable. However, Bruno De Carmo right behind him. I think this is one of those things that these drivers towards the front of the pack have that patience. Is now, speaking about someone that's not quite as patient, looking to make a move immediately, we have the number 2, Simon de Mori, out here making moves to the inside, makes it happen, going again. Let's see. Like we said, we got to see an incident going on earlier between him and Pedro Mura. Now, hopefully these guys are able to keep it a little bit more clean. Simon de Mori side by side with Miguel Araujo. Now it's 3 wide into this left-hander, and absolutely getting a little bit of door banging. Now the number 91 taking advantage of that. We have Dudu Barrichello, who of course you're qualifying, number 1 in qualifying out there, having to make his way through the pack. Again, we knew this was going to happen, folks. It is all about making sure you take every little advantage that you can. If there isn't a move, sometimes you have to force the move, and that looks like what Barrichello is doing right there. And the battle going on as well, so great block. We see now Gerardo Encinas trying to take advantage of the battles in front of him as well. The number 2, Simon de Mori, now trying side by side with Encinas, going to the inside, getting the inside line, but a little bit of bumping back and forth. These drivers looking a bit like bumper cars out here, but that's a great thing. These cars can handle a little bit of that. If we were in an open wheeler, man, there would be so much more carnage out on the field than what we're seeing right now. So still, these guys elbows out early on in the race, trying to just scrape for every single position they can.
they were bomb drafting there through turns 1 and 2, down the main straight, and due to Barrichello not leaving any room, doing what Schumacher did to his dad pretty much there, just at a different track, squeezing and squeezing all within the limits, just very harsh racing. Like you said, you really got to force the move. I don't think anyone was expecting Barrichello there to go down the inside of 2 cars. I thought Simon de Mori had that move done and dusted, but then a third car has just come out of nowhere and he's overtaken him, but it's still super close. You can see half a second, 0.3 of a second separating these top guys in the back. There's also some more fights through turn 1 though. Miguel Arau, he is very close to being overtaken here. Barrichello has caught back up to him after losing some momentum with fighting with Simon de Mori just 1 lap ago. He's practically pushing him through these corners now.
And just seeing how well these battles are going so far, I'd love to see, hopefully all of these guys stick around, especially some of the newcomers that we haven't seen very much. Like I said, the Barrichello, Bartz, these guys out here, because coming up later on is, another move right there. So to the inside, Barrichello forcing the move over Araujo. So Araujo just leaving a little bit of space. I don't think he expected Barrichello to be right there, but him just taking absolute advantage. And like I said, out here, I think this is really where that real life experience has really come into play. I mean, also in the sim, Barrichello is no slouch, currently over 7,000 iRating, so he has plenty of time in the sim, plenty of time in the real world to really come out here and show, prove to these drivers, hey man, I'm coming out here, I came to have a good time, but I also came to win. So Barrichello, fastest in qualifying now, sitting in 3rd, but we know he's not going to be happy with 3rd. He's not going to be happy until he gets all the way onto that top step of the podium. But he's going to have to go through his fellow Brazilians if he wants to do that. The likes of Bruno de Carmo in 2nd and Svechanov currently still sitting in 1st place.
Absolutely, and it just shows, I mean, I think the biggest advantage he has as a real-life racing driver as well is knowing where he is stronger. That's why he's able to make these moves. Just after like 1 or 2 laps, he's like, okay, I brake later in turn 2 or turn 3. I can go for it there next lap. Oh, this guy is slow off this corner. I can go for it there. Or, oh, I'm slower here. I can brake a bit later. I think that's the advantage he has got right now, which has allowed him to move up 12 positions in 12 laps. I mean, that's 1 lap, and now he's going to try it on the outside of turn 1. Bruno de Carmo defends the inside, which he has been doing the last couple of laps against someone else, but now the switchback from Barrichello has taken place. He just doesn't get the run, but now he's got the inside going into turn 3, and has he got that move? Yes, he does, as Bruno de Carmo now needs to watch out for Miguel Araujo, who looks to get involved as well, but he's gone there. His Tudo Barrichello has now moved up 13 positions in 12 laps, and I think he's going to go for I think he will get the win. He's got 8 laps, so he can sit behind a bit. I doubt he will, to be honest, but he has some time to suss out where he is quicker, and yeah, we'll probably go for the move in 1 or 2 laps.
Yeah, looking out here at these drivers too. Just a couple laps ago, it was all smiles from a lot of these guys. That has since shifted to just absolute focus. So now the race is on. It was Svechanov and Bruno de Carmo leading the majority of this race. Well, once Barrichello came in there, came in hot, now everyone turning it, locking in really quite, if you want to see locking in, it is here right now as we see the number 16 going to the inside. Bruno de Carmo having to defend for his life right now. He has Miguel Araujo, Gerardo Encinas right on his tail, and right here, a good job. These guys going side by side behind us. The number 61 of, whoa, Encinas right there, getting a little bit sketchy. These guys, I mean, they're doing a great job of keeping it out of the wall, but I don't know how long that is going to last. Like I said, doing a great job just back and forth as well. Now back and forth for the lead. We have Svechanov right here. Barrichello trying to make the move happen right onto the rear bumper of Svechanov right there like glue. Absolutely great job from both of these drivers. We still have the Brazilian 1, 2, 3. I know all 3 of these guys would love to keep it that way, but we have, like I said, Gerardo Encinas, Miguel Araujo, Simon de Mori right there in the back as well. So all the way through the top 6 drivers, just absolutely amazing. A little bit of space now. Svechanov and Barrichello starting to lead a little bit away. Bruno de Carmo, since he's having to defend so hard, has started falling away from the pack. So I think it's going to be a battle for first as well as a battle for third. A little bit of bumping right there. Barrichello saying, hey man, I am right here. I'm looking to overtake this. If you don't get out of the way, I'm going to make something happen. So just a little bit of a warning from Barrichello right there on the rear bumper, stuck to him. And like you said, Julian, Barrichello definitely has a very good chance of winning this one out here today.
Yeah, that camera shot on the rear bumper of Felipe Petrinov really shows the slipstream you can see as he just got closer and closer, just missing out by like a tenth to where he can go for it down the inside of turn 1. But now he's closer than ever, and if he can get a good one out of these next two right-handers and just stick with him, and especially out of this next right-hander, the final corner, just not pick up too much understeer. As you said, these tires will start to overheat, so they need to calm them down as well, or find some place to calm them down. I think he is close enough now. The slipstream should start to come into effect now. He is looking to the inside. Felipe not defending too hard. He knows that the outside might be the better way to go. Maybe the switchback. No, but Barrichello has got that. He's hugging the apex, and he's got the lead after 15 laps. That's going to be one of the quickest comeback drivers we've seen with a field this competitive. As you can see, everyone's now bunched up. That fight has allowed Bruno De Carmo to close right back up, as well as Miguel Araujo not too far back as well. So it's all kicking off for the lead now.
Absolutely, and I see a lot of people out there, a lot of the Brazilians out in chat loving this battle going on. I've seen someone out there as well also mentioned earlier saying, hey, we need a battle between Verstappen and Barrichello out here. I think that would be absolutely lovely to see. Of course, Verstappen has stopped in from time to time out here in AMX. Team Redline, as we've now seen a lot of bumping back and forth. The number 61 of Encinas, the number 16 of Bruno De Carmo. Both of these drivers now off the track. De Carmo into the wall. That's a nasty one for De Carmo, but he's able to get it back here. We'll have to see if he's able to get it into the pits. He might have had quite a bit of steering damage after that one. We'll have to check up on that later. So the battles heating up out here. We are lap number 16 out of 20. Heat number 1, Bruno De Carmo on the podium now, getting sent all the way off and is hitting the pits. So we'll have to keep an eye out now on Miguel Araujo. Simon De Mori now sitting in that third place position, interrupting the Brazilian 1-2-3 earlier on. So, man, it just goes to show, although you put these drivers in slower cars on a shorter track, the action has been absolutely crazy out here today, Julian.
I mean, for me, that's what makes AMX ZERO so special. Anyone can join. In fact, 30 minutes ago, you could have signed up, you guys in Twitch chat, you guys could have signed up to this race, and boom, you would have been racing here with Rubens Barrichello's son. And that's what makes it so special, honestly. These guys fighting so hard, but so fair. And going around the outside, here we go, picture. It's so risky with these cars that just understeer notoriously. And yeah, you can just see Bruno De Carmo just understeering and then just get caught up and just get sent into the barrier. That's a racing incident. Very unfortunate that the track is so unforgiving through such a turn. As you see there, Lorente getting past Araujo through turn 22. That's a lovely move there. As I don't think Bruno De Carmo is out of it. It's such a shame. He was running P2 for most of the race with a brilliant start, and now he's down and out of it, and he won't even take advantage of the reverse grid.
Yeah, so just like that, unfortunate end to Bruno De Carmo's race. Like I said, hopefully we get to see him for heat number 2 bounce back, and he has a vengeance for heat number 2. However, like we said earlier, we do have the AMX 5 race coming up later on. We are going to be in the Super Formulas out at the Nürburgring Grand Prix Strecke. So that's going to be a close one as well. So if there's going to be a lot of the same drivers that we're seeing right now getting into the Super Formulas, I expect it to be just as much chaos, just as much tight battling. But we'll have to wait and see. Now, Encinas trying to send it to the inside over Araujo. So Araujo really having to defend out here. These cars, like we mentioned earlier, that understeer, especially coming up later in the race. As we see another door banging side by side. The switch back here. Araujo now getting bumped to the outside. So we do have the racing stewards out here. If any of these guys feel like, hey, maybe this is close racing, maybe this is protestable, that is for the racing stewards to decide. But nonetheless, out here, these guys still side by side, door to door. I think out here, the number 13 of Araujo has probably had the most battles with the most different drivers in heat number 1 today.
Could see it as an advantage going into Heat 2, so he knows who races how. And look at that, neither giving an inch, despite being forced off the track, he's made the move. But I think it's only going to be a matter of time until Araujo gets past. We've only got 2 laps to go. This race has absolutely flown by, but due to Barrichello has checked out. The gap is 2 seconds in the lead, but who will get P2, P3, also P5. That's the closest battle we've got right now between the beautiful Nesquik car. Love their stereo, very good, and a very plain white Volkswagen, which you usually see out on the motorway on a Saturday noon as you go to the grocery store.
Yeah, it's great to see. Like I said, these guys will have to wait and see. It's like I said, they'll have just over a lap left to really make something down. So on the penultimate lap, like you mentioned, Julian, I think this is really going to be the battle to watch out here for 5th place. Encinas Araujo right now sitting exactly where he was. So Encinas up 8 positions, and ooh, a little bit of a bump from behind. So these drivers definitely, you know, hey, it's a lot of take and give out here. A lot of, like we said, elbows out these drivers. And now a side-by-side going on. We got the number 52 Spechinov. Simon Demori trying to hang it to the outside. Will he have enough grip? Trying to use every bit of the track that he can. Going to the inside. Spechinov taking a bit more defensive line. And Demori right there, leaving room as well for Llorente to catch up behind them. So we have all 3 drivers out here, of course, looking menacing in the all-black Volkswagens, but nonetheless, right now, this is a battle for a podium position. So who's going to get 2nd, 3rd, and 4th? White flag is flying. It looks like Barrichello looks like he's going to keep it clean. He will have this one in the bags as he has nearly a 4-second gap as the guys behind him continue to battle it out. The number 52 of Spechinov, the number 2 of Demori, now trying to not leave it, and Simon Demori doing a great job as he's sandwiched between the 2 other drivers, trying to get that 2nd place position while at the same time trying to maintain his podium spot. So here we go, folks, as Barrichello coming across the start-finish line. He is excited to see that one. Got the fastest in qualifying, and now the battle behind a drag race to the finish. We got Spechinov, Simon Demori, Ruben Llorente, and it looks like Spechinov holding on to that 2nd place position. Demori coming into 3rd. So great battles all the way through the top 5. Man, I cannot wait to see what we're going to have in heat number 2.
Absolutely, we get to do it all over again, Kevin. What a race. And that end, I mean, you have to battle for P2 side by side there. I really think if Simon Demori would have the inside going into turn 3, he maybe would have had a better chance rather than around the outside. But hey, 20 laps again, he gets to give it another shot.
Man, and just like that, so as we're waiting for the results to come in, man, just a lot of great things out here. Of course, we have Barrichello putting it down for Brazil out here. So the 23-year-old Brazilian driver, he's showing his real-life race experience out here on the track today. But like I said, he is very experienced in the sim too. Already over 7,000 iRacing, so plenty of time out here. That's what we love to see, the guys that eat, sleep, breathe racing, putting it down, putting on a great show. Martin Chico, however, still setting the fastest lap. So Chico getting 2nd in the qualifying now, putting down the fastest lap. Your BenQ session winner, Dudu Barrichello. Absolute great race from him in heat number 1. Felipe Spechinov in 2nd place, Simon Demori 3rd, Ruben Llorente Jr. 4th, Edwin Encinas in 5th, Miguel Araujo 6th, Diego Villarreal in 7th. 8th place, we got Pedro Mura, 9th, Evandro Dantas. 10th, we have Gustavo Bartz, Alberto Sanau 11th, Nico Godoy 12th, Martin Chico 13th, Samuel Burnett 14th. Rounding out your top 15 will be Felipe Bartz, who, like I said, a lot of these drivers towards the back of the pack got involved in some incidents and now hopefully trying to redeem themselves for heat number 2. But as we have the drivers grading, getting ready, we are seconds away from heat number 2 out here. Julian, any predictions for this race?
Copy paste from heat 1. And we are underway this time. Another great start. Is that Bruno De Carmo again? No, it's his teammates. Or Bruno De Carmo starting a bit up the grid. But instead, once again, there's people pushing each other off the track. So already they're aggressive side by side through turns 1 and 2. Then between Evandro Dantes and I think that's Bartz, I think that was there as now. Oh, more wheel banging or door banging even. 3-8 wide as once again they've come together, just tagging the rear end. Who's pointing the wrong way, and that is Godoy. That's so unfortunate that happened so early in the race. But once again, they're almost 4 abreast going into this turn. They just don't want to give up, and that's what happens when you don't give up. Simon Demori pointing the wrong direction and down in P16.
Ooh, and just like that, another spin in the back. We got Spetchenev. Ooh, a little bit of damage right there, contact. So lap number 1, chaos ensues out here at AMX. If that's one thing you can rely on, it is almost going to be every single time the chaos comes out on track. Of course, these drivers out here on the cold tires just really showing how much these cars understeer. You know, not much room really to go out there. Being on 20 laps down, coming out here into heat number 2, back to the cold tires, absolutely getting reminded that, hey, yes, these indeed are front-wheel drive vehicles, but at the same time, some of these drivers taking advantage a bit of that snap-off oversteer. So getting off the throttle, really throwing it into the corner, getting that rear end around, and ooh, a little bit of tire smoke out there as we're having battles going on. Currently right now, we have the number 16 of Bruno DeCarmo trying to fight off Gerardo Encina. So another battle that we got to see going on in heat number 1. These two have a bit of a grudge match going on here. Ooh, Encinas unfortunately getting into the rear end of Bruno DeCarmo and getting shunted off track. That might have been a bit of netcode there, Jillian. We'll have to get a replay on that pretty soon.
Well, usually you'd see a cargo airplane when it's an open wheeler and the wheels interlock, but these wheels, I mean, they're covered. I don't know how, that's pretty impressive, the fact that you got the car in the air by tagging another wheel. It must be a netcode. If not, give that man a prize. He deserves something for being able to almost flip a Volkswagen.
Man, and just like that, yeah, like you said, I only really thought that was possible in an open wheeler. So to see it out here as we get a bit of a replay out here, incident with Nico Godoy, and ooh, these drivers going nearly 3 wide, and there's just no room on the track. Unfortunately right there, just the number 77 just getting absolutely spun around. Man, that was just, it's hard to see out here. I mean, there's so many incidents going on. We're only 3 laps into this thing, and right now, however, that has left room for Felipe Barrichello Parts to come out on top, showing again another great driver out on the field today, a newcomer to AMX, showing what he can do out here. Didn't have the best heat 1, now looking to capitalize on it in heat number 2. In second place, we got Samuel Burnett, followed by Martin Chico in third place as well. So these drivers towards the top of the pack didn't have the best of heat 1, now putting it back down into heat number 2. Let's see who's going to be able to do it, as we already have a lot of movement going on. Of course, Dudu Barrichello up 6 positions, Bruno DeCarmo up 5. We'll have to see exactly where the cards fall towards the end of the heat.
Just see how aggressive they are. It's pretty much stock car racing, just forcing the move like, mate, you gotta leave me space, otherwise I'm taking both you and myself out. Look at that, onto the grass, almost hitting the barrier there. They're still pretty much bumper to bumper. They didn't separate as quickly as in heat 1, which is just better for our entertainment. It's Dudu Barrichello then going down the inside, and he's got the move on Evandro Dantes. Evandro Dantes tried holding it on the outside, but just nothing on the outside. You just don't have any grip, and add that with the understeer of this car, you can't do anything about it.
Absolutely, and like I said, I mean, we're always out here, Julian, giving our predictions. You know, we knew a lot of the guys out here. I mean, there's so many people that have a great pace, but Barrichello, Martin Chico, I think, kind of some of the fan favorites out here today. Of course, Bruno DeCarmo, a lot of the Brazilians, a lot of people out there in chat. We want to see who you have coming out here for heat number 2, who you think is going to take it home. Great drive so far. Like I said, currently lap number 4, Felipe Bartz. He has great pace over the other drivers in the front of the pack. With all of this battle going on, has left him nearly a 1.5 second gap over Samuel Burnett in second. So he has a very good shot of winning this. Like I said, last heat, some of these drivers didn't get the best heat going on, got into that top 15 reverse grid, and now showing, all right, I'm here to play, I'm here to race, and I'm here to win. So right now, in the middle of the pack, still going on, we got Pedro Mora, Miguel Araujo. Really close battle going on, not too much between them, as well as Bartz up in 5th place. So about less than a second separating those top 3 drivers, as we can see just how close some of them are getting now. Following the front of course, Miguel Araujo's car, a little bit of gap separating some of the drivers now, getting into a bit of a train. I don't expect this to last very long though, Julian.
Absolutely, and the problem is, there you go, this Simone Mori incident. You can just see, it's like everyone's trying to find some space on the track, trying to make the track wider or something. There you see 4 wide, and he almost got pincered there. I think the number 22 car just moving over to the right, and then he just got caught there, and then just taking his beach vacation a tad bit too early. But yeah, problem with them being this close, if let's say Bart's right here. Let's say he spins, right? Everyone behind him, pretty much all the way down to Evandro Dantes, will get caught up in that. And that's the risk of falling so close. You really want to be at the lead of the train. And right now, what Felipe Bart's he's doing just that. And I think my money is on him for Heat 2.
And I'm watching chat out here. So someone's saying, hey, Felipe Bart's, hey man, you need to change your flag. So we can see on the timing tower right there, Felipe Bart's, of course, leading the race out here, showing the American flag, but of course being a Brazilian driver as well. Another driver out here too, like we said, has experience in these stock cars, and that is really putting in out here today, showing just how dominant he can be. Like I said, I think the biggest thing is some of these drivers, they get into a bit of an incident, and just like that, it can send you to the back of the grid, and you're spending your whole time fighting the car if you have damage. And I mean, that's really what to expect in these really short races coming out here in AMX. So everyone all over the board, all over, and some of these replays, man, have just been absolutely crazy. As now we see the number 29 of Samuel Burnett having to fight off Martin Chico right behind him. We've seen last heat Martin Chico set the fastest lap. We know he has the pace in it. I think right now it's just a matter of when can he make that move. He's seen how many incidents have been going on out here, so he's trying to not be too aggressive, but again, just get right on the rear bumper of Burnett, saying, I'm here, man, I'm here, I'm gonna take that place, as well as try to take first place away. But this battle going on now, leaving a 2-second gap for Felipe Bart's up in first place.
Absolutely, and the more they fight, the more it's gonna help him gap at 2 seconds, and it's creeping up ever so slightly as Burnett, he really needs to defend now going into some of these turns, especially turn 1. Further behind though, it's still very close. If you compare lap 8 of Heat 2 to Heat 1, the pact is a lot closer, which is great to see because it means the racing gets a lot closer, and you really need to pick your move and decide where to go for it and how to go for it. You can see just Studio Barrichello behind the two, helping to cause some trees in the way. Love the scenery here at Okayama tonight. Coming around the second to last corner, and now the last corner. I think we'll see some moves down the straight with the slipstream, and I think something's with his wheelbase there, Pedro Mora. It almost seemed like he was reaching down for something. I'm not sure if that was just his wheel being that far down, but it seemed like he was reaching down to press a button or something.
So just like that, yeah, absolutely a great job from, I mean, I think we knew it once we started seeing who was out on the track, even during practice. Of course, the Brazilians putting it down out here in the Volkswagen Jettas today. Like I said, I mean, really the biggest thing I'm hoping for at this point in the day is how many of these drivers are going to be going on to Super Formula later on today. That is definitely a race to be watching out for. So everyone out here watching live on Twitch and YouTube, make sure you stick around for that one, because there are a few drivers that are not in here right now that I know might be showing up later on today, so we'll have to wait to see exactly who is there. Like I said, Gael Valero, this season, we've seen in previous seasons him just trying to hit every single race that he can, but out here he is focusing a bit more, picking and choosing some of the higher class races. Like I said, Bruno De Carmo, one of those drivers out here that has been pretty much in every single race so far as well. So a lot of drivers putting it down no matter what they're in, showing it off. And here we go. Ooh, trying to make the peak right there. We have Martin Chico still trying to be very patient, but now looks like he's going to make the move, getting up to the rear quarter panel of the number 29 of Samuel Burnett. Now right onto the bumper, and there he goes, making the move right there. Textbook patience going in, but no, it's door to door as the switchback. Burnett barely holding on to that, and now getting pitted into the wall. We have Burnett as well. Martin Chico, ooh, that was a nasty one right there towards the back, so that may be Burnett's race in the bags.
Such a shame. He was doing so well. I mean, I think he just gave up the inside line a tad bit too early going into turn 3, which allowed him to go up the inside. And if you think about it, it's really a copy-paste from what happened to Bruno De Carmo in Heat 1, just understeering and being tagged in, coming off worse. Which is, like I said, he was doing so well in P2 if you compare it to his first heat where he got tagged. And like you said, we will have Super Formula later, so this transition for some of the drivers that will do both races is going to be interesting. How quickly they can get up to speed with open wheelers, which have a lot more front end and actually some sort of downforce, not just mechanical grip like these Volkswagen Jettas.
And I'm taking a look out there at chat as well. So, unfortunately, one of the viewers out here saying he is not going to be able to make it for the Super Formulas. He's got to go get a haircut, but he's going to let his barber know, take a picture of Bruno De Carmo and say that. I think, you know what, if you get into racing out here, definitely the haircut is, I feel like, the secret sauce for Bruno De Carmo. I mean, definitely adds at least 10 horsepower every single race that he gets in. So we'll have to see about that. But right now, the battle going on between Pedro Mura, Martin Chico, Barrichello now made it all the way up 11 positions. So once again, the biggest mover out here in heat number 2, all the way up to 4th place. I mean, we haven't seen too much going on. He's been pretty quiet, hiding in the shadows, just taking one position after another, making it look like a horror movie out here today, just taking one after another, and now all the way up into 4th place. So we have to see as now the battle's still going on between Martin Chico and Miguel Araujo. Of course, Bruno De Carmo getting caught up early on, now making his way all the way back up to 8th place as well. So a lot of movement out here as we are over halfway through heat number 2, lap number 12 of 20. It is still Felipe Bartz leading with quite a substantial lead, about 4 seconds over Alberto Senao.
We'll just talk about how Martin Chico was drinking some orange juice on the shorter of the 2 straights. I don't know how he managed to open the bottle, take a sip or two, and close again. He probably didn't even close it. It's just sitting on his table, which I hope he doesn't shake it too much. But the fact he was able to do that and keep a position, very impressive. And heads up to you, Mr. Chico. I probably would have scuffed the braking zone up and gone straight into the wall and broken the entire car and set the car on fire. But they're still racing away. Look at that, Duda Barrichello. His progress was a bit slower this race. Of course, he still made up 11 positions, but a tad bit slower. That could cost him the race. He needs to make up 2 positions and then chase a 4-second gap to Felipe Bartz and then overtake him as well, all within 7 laps or so.
But right now, looking at the timing screen, does look like Barrichello does have the current fastest lap out here set. So Martin Chico setting the fastest lap in heat number 1. Of course, Barrichello being the quickest driver out in qualifying. We'll have to just take a look on who is going to get that now. As now we have Felipe Bartz in 1st, Gustavo Bartz 3rd, and Dudu Barrichello in 4th place. So a lot of these guys just absolutely coming in here. Like we said, we love to have a great time for AMX ZERO, but a lot of these drivers as well are looking to get that win. So definitely going to be interesting to see if we have a bit of a family affair going on out here into heat number 2. I know these 3 drivers would love to make it a 1-2-3 podium. Alberto Senao, however, is not going to make it that easy for them to do. So we'll have to see. Barrichello up 11 positions still now, currently sitting in 4th place, right on the rear bumper of Gustavo Bartz.
Yeah, and the 2 drivers in front of him aren't the easiest to overtake, Gustavo Bartz and Alberto Senao. So, yep, he's going to need to pull something real special out. Maybe one of his dive bombs going into this left hand. He's been doing that quite a bit where he pulls out last second, where the driver in front, not really expecting it, not looking in the mirrors, just focused on the apex, and boom, all of a sudden, there is a car there. But it seems like he's not being able to make the progress right now. I think he needs to suss out where he's quicker, as everyone's pretty much had a whole 20 laps or so of extra practice. Now they know how the car feels around at this stage where the tires are definitely cooking, and they just need to drive it differently, going for an earlier apex just to make sure you don't run out of road. But Felipe Bartz, he's steadily improving out that lead, isn't he? 4.3 now, ahead of P2, as now down the inside, I think he had a small look there, Gustavo Bartz, but not able to make the move as they're super close. And this is what I said, I mean, if one of these guys spins, it is over for the rest of them unless they've got cat-like reactions.
Absolutely. We're seeing out here too as well, looking on the liveries of these. So not only are these guys newcomers out here, but we say it time and time again, whenever you have your teammates out on the field, we can see right there on the side of the vehicle, these drivers running the same livery. Of course, the 2 teammates, Open Side Motorsport out here. Absolutely, they're not going to be battling it off too much. However, like we've seen a lot of the times from these guys, mostly the Delinta Esports, which typically have the most teammates out onto the grid at the same time, just how beneficial that can be, especially whenever you're fighting for podium position right here. Maybe give your teammate a little bit of a bump drop. But here we go. Barrichello now getting let by. So Gustavo Bartz letting his teammate by. Barrichello now up into 3rd. I say the hunt is officially on out here, Julian. Lap 16 of 20. We have 25% of this race left to go to see if Barrichello can make it a 1-2-3 out here in AMX.
I doubt it. I mean, I hate to be the pessimist here, seeing the glasses half full, but he needs to get past P2 first, so now, and then he needs to chase a 4-second gap all within 4 laps. That's a second a lap plus then overtake. I don't see it happening. I mean, he can probably get past going on to lap 17, but then still that's a big gap, Kevin. 4 seconds in 4 laps and overtaking, that's a big lap. Maybe if it would be like lap 10, I could see it happening, but I think it's just a little too late for him in Heat 2.
And just like that, well, like I said, and looking at that, so Gustavo Bart's now falling all the way down into 5th position. So that's left room for Pedro Muro to get up into that 4th place spot as well. So like I said, I know these guys, they would love to get the 1-2-3. I think at this point, it's really going to come down to, we've seen in heat number 1, these drivers starting to get a bit more aggressive towards the end. But like you said, hey, with Felipe Bart's out up front, having no one to really put the pressure on him, he just has to really keep it clean to walk away with this one. So long as Felipe Bartz doesn't make a mistake, Julian, you might be correct out here. He may have this one in the bag for heat number 2. However, right now, the battle still to watch is Alberto Senao and Dudu Barrichello. These guys back and forth going on. Of course, Barrichello so far has the fastest lap out here in heat number 2. I mean, we'll have to see as now we see the sector times. Definitely Senao Barrichello showing a little bit more pace over Bart's up in 1st place. So they definitely have a little bit more pace, but like you said earlier on, it may be too little too late, as we got a little bit of a glimpse there. That is actually quite a bigger gap whenever you see it from some of those other camera angles. But here, great job defending up now. So now not letting Barrichello get that inside line, doing a great job defending, but he's losing grip. He's going wide on there now. Barrichello trying to see if he can squeeze it to the inside, and he's going to have to concede just a little bit, check up. But here we go. The move we've seen all day long, Barrichello sending it up the inside. Unfortunately, the switchback holding on to that position, not wanting to leave the door too much for Pedro Muro behind them. Of course, Pedro Muro, all these drivers up front now getting a little bit aggressive. Going for the fake now, right on that rear bumper. So, of course, the mind games are coming into play out here right now, Julian.
Yep, this is what we were talking about in Heat 1, just faking the move, trying to force an error, braking just 1 meter too late, or braking on the grass, just distracting. I think Barrichello knows he can't go for P1 now. Look at that, they've lost a second just battling that lap alone. He's now going for P2, but so now he's holding on for dear life, Kevin. And so what, predicting that Felipe Bartz is going to win this race is probably the only prediction I've ever gone right in AMX. And there you see in your background, actually, very aggressive fighting between, I think that was Miguel Araujo and Gustavo Bartz there. Very aggressive going into turn 1, but we're still on board with Dudu Barrichello. Then he's only got about 1.5 laps then to get this P2. He's already secured the podium unless he spins, in which case the commentator's curse is real, and I'm very sorry, but I think he won't do that, and he just needs to get a good run out of these next couple of corners, and especially out of the final corner. You can see he's practically glued onto the rear bumper of Senalda, and he's so close, Kevin. I think we'll see a move going into turn 1.
Oh, no doubt. Like I said, he's really setting up these moves at least 2 turns back. So, like I said, just having that experience out here. Of course, hey, we're not in a stock car out here right now, but we are in a Volkswagen Jetta. So there are some similarities, some differences. Nonetheless, he's putting that experience on the line. As the white flag comes out, it is Felipe Bartz still leading the race, followed by Alberto Senao battling it off, trying to hold off Dudu Barrichello for that 2nd place position. Here we go. Barrichello looking to the inside. He may have the room, trying to squeeze it now to the outside. And like I said, at this point in the race, he's able to get it. A little bit of contact, almost so close. It looked like from that angle they were going to touch, but Barrichello just cutting off the nose of Senao, and now trying to look forward. He knows he has this P2 in the bag so long as he doesn't make any mistakes, because Senao has Pedro Mura hungry on the hunt to get onto that podium position for 3rd place as well. So, Julian, this is what we love to see out here. This is what AMX ZERO is all about, folks.
Absolutely, Bose. This man who stole the show in Heat 2, then Felipe Bartz in his 2nd ever Heat in AMX. He's gonna win, and what a drive it was, controlling from the lead and just eking out a gap behind Behind that is Gabby Duda Barrichello, who makes another podium in a row. Then Senna, wow, what a race that was. This is exactly AMX, giving people the chance, giving people you haven't seen or heard from, giving them the chance to show themselves and let them show what they are made of. And that's exactly what happened today.
So out here, the Brazilians coming down, putting it down out on track. Much like I should say, the Brazilian stock car drivers showing what they can do out here in the sim. Man, just absolute great racing all the way from qualifying into heat number 1. Heat number 2, of course, we had some of those characteristic first lap incidents going on, put some of these drivers out of the race. I see Llorente out, Pedro Garcia out of the race as well. So hopefully we get to see a lot of these drivers coming up very soon. Is now Spechenov, one of the last drivers. Look like he is the last driver now, making it across the line. Man, just so much going on out here at times. Like I said, every single time these drivers starting to get into a bit of a line, a bit of the train going, we knew that wasn't going to last more than a lap, and it absolutely didn't. Here is your BenQ session winner. All smiles from Felipe Barrichello Parts out here in that top spot. Of course, absolutely stunned with this one. In second place, we got Dudu Barrichello. Third place, Alberto Senal. Fourth place, Pedro Moura. Fifth, Martin Chico. Sixth, Miguel Araujo. Seventh, Gustavo Bartz. Eighth, Hero Encinas. Ninth place, we got Evandro Dantas. 10th, Bruno De Carmo. 11th, Simon Demari. 12th, Diego Villarreal. 13th place, we got Nico Godoy. 14th, Felipe Spetrenev. 15th, Samuel Burnett. And unfortunately, having a bit of incident now, Ruben Llorente Jr. and Pedro Garcia getting out on heat number 2. So much going on out there. I mean, I'd say this probably is one of the best AMX ZERO races. I think I keep saying that as the AMX ZERO races go on, as we see the teammates out there holding it down, getting a beautiful photo shoot out near the start finish line. Of course, like I said, Barrichello, Bartz, all of these guys out there, the teammates. I really hope that they stick around out here, Julian, because it was some excellent racing from all three of them.
100% going to the inside, going to the outside, making your move. I mean, that is racing for you right there, trying to catch your opponent off guard. It's not just making the move on the straight. It's first you gotta suss out where you're quicker, then you gotta set up that move 2, 3, maybe even a whole lap earlier. Going with later apexes, trying to get the better run, and that's exactly what they did, and that's allowed them to, well, be top 3.
Definitely. And I mean, one of the biggest things to keep in mind from these, like I said, it's great whenever we get to see some of these drivers go from real life racing out here into the sim, as well as we've got to see plenty of people. Like I said, the most recently we got to see Dino Filippa, Gustavo Ario going from the sim into real life, getting professional contracts. So like we always say, you never know what is going to happen out here in AMX. Especially now that we brought back AMX ZERO, free to join for anyone. I think I've seen someone out there on the Twitch chat saying, hey, they want to come out here and race. We'd love to have you race. Go over to amxrace.com. We're out here every single weekend with AMX ZERO this season, as well as, like I said, follow all of our social medias. You never know what we're going to be doing. We're doing giveaways, doing highlights, replays, anything, as well as what's to come for future races. But for right now, I mean, Julian, I think everyone's just going to have to stick around to see what we got coming up. The Super Formulas heading over to the Nürburgring Grand Prix Strecke layout. It's going to be a great one out there. So we're going from low horsepower, low downforce cars to absolutely ridiculous higher horsepower, high downforce open wheelers. Hopefully a lot of these same drivers show up, and hopefully a lot of you out there watching at home will show up too. But that will be it for AMX ZERO. Don't go anywhere, as we are minutes away from AMX 5. Max Verstappen back into first place. They want to make that move, but here goes Gustavo Ariel diving to the inside. Gael Valero looking for the move over Archie Neumann. He has it.
And you can just see Peter Zuba pushing Florian Labigra right over.
Oh, Chris Lallum, he does make that pass.
Gael Valero doing his best on the outside, gets sideways, and no, the teammates crash. We had the number 11 going right there. 3 wide out there in the middle of the field, through the mountain straight now, going 3 wide.
Oh my word, that is probably one of the best shows of the entire season.
Towards the Niki Lauda curve, bumping and banging and into the wall. That is a horrible crash.
2 wide now, door to door. Max Verstappen to Valtteri Bottas. Max Verstappen able to safely rejoin. Slots it right in front of another car.
Carousel immediately, he gets punted off. That was Saavedra. Aguilar, he's gone off, he's been tapped, and he's into the barriers. Oh, the rejoin, oh no!
Dean. Oh, Pedro, Dean.
Oh, Chris Lallum does have the inside track for the Swiss left. If he's able to make that pass happen, he might be able to cut away Victorino. He does make that pass, and he makes it clean as they come into the right hand. This is it. Chris Lallum seizes the opportunity and makes it. And just as the end, the rain comes to put a pin onto the end of the race, and Chris Lallum takes it.
Right there, Vic Miranda, Peter Zuba into the wall.
It's actually Valero. Valero's actually gone off into the barriers, coming up to the cutting.
David Todd making his way back up, has already climbed 7 positions.
Oh, Oh, I spoke too soon there. Zende goes up.
So right now, this is going to be where it's going to get shaken up. David Toth passes them while they are in the pit through the mountain straight now, going 3 wide.
Oh my word, that is probably one of the best shows of the entire season.
So we have 3-way battle going to the most dangerous turn of the mountain. Up the mountain, we have contact right there. These guys going absolutely crazy. It's going to come down to the final corner, Murray's corner. Who is going to have to lead? We may have a drag race to the finish line on our hands, folks. You see David Toth right now going into the pit lane.
We go racing for heat number 1 here in Austria over AMX 20 in towards the Mickey Lauda curve, bumping and banging and into the wall. That is a horrible crash. That's a huge lunge from Gaston Calabi, and he's made contact with, I believe, wow, it's a chaotic moment here. No slipstream in front for either car, and you can just see Peter Silva pushing Florian Lebigra right over.
Here we go then. Valeri, he looks left, he looks right. He's going to choose the right hand side, which is the inside going into turn 3.
Here it is. This is the crucial moment in this race. And it's looking like it's only going one way. David Dott is going to take the race lead. Heading into the second half of the season, the Hungarian of David Dott has driven a masterclass here with the early pit stop. Not the ideal strategy, but an ideal race winner and an excellent performance.
To save our home, we must travel through the gateway to find new energy.
Already some absolutely astonishing races earlier on, but now we're flying it back over to Germany, where we're heading to the Nürburgring Grand Prix Strecke for what's to be a great open wheel race out here today. Everyone, welcome back to AMX 5, the sixth season of the AMX Sim Racing World Championship out here, where, like I said, we got to see the Volkswagens early on at AMX ZERO, now jumping up AMX 5, the Super Formulas. It's going to be a good one. I know that for a fact. I am Kevin. Alongside me, we have Julian up here in the booth. Julian, already a massive start to our racing today, where we got to see a few special guests join us earlier on.
Absolutely, two very special guests. And if this race starts with the last one picked up win for a bang, I mean, the standard is extremely high. I'm still filled with adrenaline. I'm sure the drivers as well, after just seeing that or being part of it and now racing in this. I mean, they know they need to back it up. I mean, you can't beat a race like that every day.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, there was so much going on. Probably one of the best AMX ZERO races. But enough of AMX ZERO. Now it's time for AMX 5. So everyone out there, like we always say, we have our socials up on screen. We post a lot of replays, highlights, a lot of stuff going on, as well as whenever we do giveaways. Make sure to head over there and follow, or head over to the website. Get signed up for some of these races, as well as just check our full schedule. But before we check in on our drivers in qualifying today, we have a few things to go over. AMX 5, a little bit different format than what we had earlier on today. Of course, we've been out here since September 7th, and we're going to be going all the way through November 17th with this season's prize pool of $11,000 plus next level racing gear. The format goes as follows for AMX 5. We got our 20-minute qualifier, followed by a top 15 reverse grid going into heat number 1 of 35 minutes. Followed by a second top 15 reverse grid going into that final heat number 2 of 25 minutes. So heat number 1 is a little bit longer than heat number 2. A little bit more stakes on the line, a little bit more strategy having to go into that first heat. All of our drivers out there, driver cams are required. We love to see your beautiful faces out here. You can get the link via our AMX Discord or on our website. Payouts are done in balances over $100 every single month. So you hit that $100, hits your account, expect that money headed your way. And of course, we are out here every single Saturday and Sunday this season. You can get signed up to race anytime over at amxrace.com. Our schedule every single Saturday and Sunday, like we mentioned, but on Saturdays we will be out here starting at 5:50 p.m. GMT with AMX ZERO, followed by another race of AMX 5 right after at 7:10 p.m. Every other week we're switching it up on Sundays. We got AMX 10 doubleheader going on at 5:50 p.m. followed by the second race at 7:30 p.m. And on the off weeks we got AMX 15 mini enduro going on at 5:50 p.m. So like we mentioned already, AMX 5, a little bit different format this season. We got qualifying as well as heat number 2 will be the same in terms of points, with $12.50 going to first place, second place getting $10, third getting $7.50, all the way down into 15th place. For heat number 1, however, that's the big one. Points are doubled, with first place walking away with $25, second place walking away with $20, and third getting $15, all the way down again into 15th place. For the driver that sets the fastest lap in heat number 1 or heat number 2, they will be getting an extra couple of points, all coming to a total prize pool per race of $250. Keep in mind, AMX 5 does have a minimum I rating of 2,000. So like we mentioned, you want to get out here, win some of this money, and you are over 2,000 I rating, we'd love to have you out here in the race. But back to what we are racing today, Julian. It is always a great time at the Nürburgring, whether it's the Nordschleife or at the Grand Prix Strecke. We know it's going to be tight battles going on.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a track that when you say motorsport to someone, it's what they think of. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Rheinland-Pfalz in Nürburgring in Germany. It was first opened in 1927 as a long old track with just the Nordschleife, and then later on the GP track was opened, which a bit more traditional, some would say, just a tad bit, with long fast corners, some chicanes, and a length of just over 3.6 kilometers. The car then that these drivers will be tackling around this track, it is the Super Formula with that classic shark fin, 550 horsepower, so a big old jump from the Volkswagens we just had, about 400 horsepower. Rear wheel drive, so instead of using the front squirm around looking for grip, it will be the rear. 670 kilos, and the gearbox you guys have grown used to it by now. It will be the paddle shifters behind the steering wheel with a sequential gearbox.
Man, this is definitely, I'd say, in terms of iRacing, probably right now, currently kind of as the top tier. I know we have out there, of course, iRacing got to scan in one of the Mercedes F1 cars a while back, but I'd say in terms of current open wheel racing, this is where we get to see a lot of great racing in iRacing. No matter where it is, I'd say no matter the track, this car is going to be putting on a show. And already seeing who is on the grid right now, we'd have the likes of Bruno De Carmo, who we got to see earlier, Simon De Mori, a lot of drivers that we actually got to see earlier, Mauricio Lozano, as well as a couple that we didn't see for AMX ZERO, but I have no doubt they're going to be putting on a great race out here. The likes of Gael Valero, Ayrton Reutemann. So we have, let's see, Miguel Araujo coming back, Vinny Dean out here as well today. So plenty to go around as we now head into qualifying to check in our drivers. Of course, everyone out there watching live on Twitch and YouTube, feel free to scan the QR code that pops up on screen, get all of the live timing details. And right now, you can just get automatically, as we ride along board with Simon De Mori, the sense of speed that these cars can put down out here.
Absolutely, just before hitting the brakes hard, going into the GP chicane, so they're a lot more squared up. You can really see how much, I mean, going from the Volkswagen to this, it's night and day. I mean, just the car actually does what it wants you to do. You can see so much more confidence from them. But one thing to talk about is wheel locking. These cars do have side pods, so it's a bit less common than something like a Formula V or a Ray. But wheel locking can still happen, and I mean, we kind of saw it in the previous race, despite the wheels not being open. So it can definitely happen, but mate, that shark fin looks so mean, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like I said, a lot of these, I mean, once Formula One started going over to the open halo as well, a lot of other series started taking that, just a little bit more safety. I even know, IndyCar as well in the US, they had kind of gone back and forth on the idea. However, they ended up doing a windscreen. So IndyCar a little bit different than a lot of other open wheelers. Now we see Gael Valero out here coming across the track. So a lot of these guys, like I said, now Miguel Araujo, definitely they're starting to get back into the feel of things, especially the drivers that just hopped out of the Volkswagen Jettas. Super low horsepower, low downforce, front wheel drive, getting into a vehicle that is quite the exact opposite of what they were in earlier. So, rear wheel drive, a lot of horsepower, a lot of downforce. So we'll have to see as we are about almost 9 minutes into qualifying out here. These guys definitely wanting to get a good spot, but with only 12 drivers on the grid, I don't think they're too worried as much about their qualifying position out here as maybe they normally would in a larger grid.
Especially, and since Heat 1, of course, not only double points, but a mandatory pit stop. And this is a discussion we have a lot. Do you pit lap 1 or the second to last lap? Which one is better? Because you don't really see cars pitting in the middle, only if they feel like they're getting held up by someone. But Gael Valero, we missed him in AMX ZERO, but he's back for AMX 5 then. And I think he'll pick up wherever he left off last week then, improving all the way to the top by a massive 1.5 tenths.
Absolutely. So like I said, just like that, a lot of these drivers still trying to settle into their vehicles. There's a few people that we mentioned earlier. Had some special guests joining us for AMX ZERO. Just a reminder for everyone out there, AMX ZERO is free and open to anyone. So you never know who you're going to see. And who we got to see was the likes of Eduardo, known as Dudu Barrichello, out here. Of course, the son of former F1 driver Rubens Barrichello, as well as it seemed to be a family affair. We got to see Felipe Barrichello Bartz. We got to see Gustavo Bartz. So a lot of these guys, all three of those guys, teammates out here. putting on a great show. Of course, looking like Dudu Barrichello coming out with the overall win for AMX ZERO today. I was really hoping that we would get to see him out here in the Super Formulas. Of course, Dudu Barrichello in real life got to drive and compete in United States F4 as well as the USF 2000 series. Has since moved on to stock car racing out in Brazil. So great to see those guys. But I think one place that we're going to see out here a few of these drivers in the Super Formulas, Bruno De Carmo, Pedro Dean, of course, Gael Valero. I think who's currently sitting in our top 5, really we're going to be able to see the battle going on between all of them. Of course, a lot of other drivers out here, unfortunately, unable to make it with us out today, have other professional and other pro sim sports duties. But Gael Valero already going out of mound, just laugh because that just looks so violent from the car of Bruno De Carmo. So De Carmo going off into the grass and just seeing how stiff the chassis is on these vehicles.
Well, I think right there, Bruno De Carmo is glad he does not have a motion sim, or else his spine would be in ruins even before the race starts. And I mean, when it comes to these guys where it's performance based, I don't see a lot of professional sim racers have these like massive motion rigs. It's more to like the serious yet looking for immersive kind that have that sort of sim. Yeah, like you spoke, I mean, it really bounced on that grass. I mean, it almost turned into a flying lawnmower for a second, chopping up air instead of grass then. But he's back on the track now, and he's currently in P4, not doing too badly. 2 3/4 tenths off Valera, and you can see just starting out with a wide line so he can get his foot on the power just a wee bit earlier and get a good run onto the main straight and a good overtaking spot, turn 1.
Absolutely. So, like I said, out here, and yeah, someone saying Bruno taking the WRC line out here. Absolutely. So, definitely, we'll have to see. I know I'm one of those drivers that, like I said, although I don't have that much experience at all in the sim, the little I do, I tend to find myself gravitating towards the open wheelers, towards stuff with a lot of downforce. Usually when I'm not, I definitely drive, well, I'd say overdrive the car, have a lot of oversteer. So, I think I've kind of teased too. I've hopped in some of these drivers' streams. Of course, there's a lot of people out here too supporting Bruno. I've hopped in from time to time. A lot of special events going on, kind of chatting with some of these guys. And that's one thing I said, hey man, I might need some coaching lessons, seeing how well some of these guys drive out here in AMX. I'd love to be able to, get out there coaching. Of course, right now just doing it as a hobby, but everyone always wants to get faster. Everyone always wants to do it. And who knows, instead of just hopping out here in the AMX ZERO, getting more people to join other things, AMX 5, AMX 10, 15, last season we had AMX 20, so many different things out here. And looking out there, it looks like Bruno De Carmo did have the fastest sector going in through there, sector number 3. Pedro Dean, of course, no slouch either, really showing what he can do when he can stretch his legs out here in the Super Formulas.
Well, there are some big names tonight, like you mentioned, Pedro Dean being one of them, Gael Valero, Araujo, Bruno De Carmo. And look at that, Pedro Dean going quickest by a full 10th. And just for you folks at home, purple means fastest of the lot in the timing screens below. Green means you have set a personal best, and yellow means you are not improving at all. Valero then, he went purple in the final sector, but he was not able to pit Pedro Dean. And with only 6 minutes left, it's starting to get tight, and I think most people are only going to have 1, 2, max 3 laps to go. As you see right there, Dean there going very deep into the chicane. It's a very tricky braking zone to get because it's uphill, but then it also the track just gets away from you as well. Very tricky braking zone, as are a lot of the braking zones here. Quite a bit of elevation change, turn 1 being one of them as well.
And just looking out here into the tight hairpin of turn 1. Right here, as we can see, a little bit layout from what maybe some people are used to, especially in some of the GT races. So as you can see there, turn number 2, of course, going into that second left-hander, which normally turn number 2, a lot of times we see using a bit more of the track. So a little bit slightly different configuration out here. I mean, of course, there are so many different configurations out at the Nürburgring, including whenever we have the 24 hours using the full Grand Prix Strecke layout as well as the Nordschleife. So really, I mean, a lot of these drivers, depending on where we're going out there, can see, I know I've seen some people say, man, it would be great to see a race out here normally seen these guys at the Grand Prix layout in an open wheeler, but we've had some people want to see these guys get out here in an open wheeler and run the full Nordschleife. But that would be, I think, probably a little bit insane, as we've seen, just like we said, when these drivers get a little bit too much on the curbs, get a little bit too much off track, how stiff these are. I could only imagine how much these cars would get shaken around if they ran the Nordschleife.
Well, I just got through in my head a 24-hour AMX Nordschleife endurance race with all the different teams, be it Redline or Delinta Esports. I'm sure the folks would love it. The drivers would absolutely hate us. We've heard Valero talk how we're trying to kill the drivers with these longer races. We might need multiple shifts as commentators swapping between the entire team, but that would be something, wouldn't it, Kevin? A full 24-hour endurance race, just who's the last one to fall asleep challenge, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I know we've seen a lot of other stuff, especially, the iRacing special events that they have on the calendar. We've seen other series as well doing special events. So, hey, who knows? We have a lot of stuff going on with our drivers out here. We've got a lot of feedback. Like I said, especially this season, we've changed up the format quite different compared to past seasons. So some drivers had some positive feedback. Some drivers have had some negative feedback. All around, something's good, something's bad. Of course, I think a lot of that is also depending on what the drivers want to be driving out here. Like we can see out here, definitely the open wheelers, the likes of Pedro Dean, Bruno De Carmo. I've got to see them in a lot of open wheelers. A lot of just rear-wheel drive cars do much better. We've got to see a lot more TCR out here, the likes of Corentin Guinez, Kieran Harrison, putting it down in those. So definitely, we're always on here trying to see what's great for the fans, what's great for the drivers, what do we want to do. And I think now that we've started introducing more endurance races, we'll have to see, Julian, if that leads to any big special events in the futures. I know there have been rumors, there have been talks about, hey, if AMX is going to do some special events out here on a grand scale, have thousands of dollars on the line. I mean, hey, we'll just have to wait and see exactly what comes out of that. I'm not opposed to it. I would love to see some special events out here, as well as the regular weekend events that we got going on. Of course, right now, so many special events going on, so many pro series. Hey, why can't AMX do it? I say we can. We already have some of the best top sim racers out here. So what we got to see earlier, as other times too, we got to see Barrichello out here. We see Verstappen from time to time, as well as we've got to see Nicolas Verone out here. So definitely no slouch to getting pro drivers, pro sim drivers, all the likes, everyone. But right now, back onto what we're going out here. Just a couple minutes left in qualifying. Ayrton Reutemann still trying to find a bit more pace as he currently sits in 11th place.
I just love seeing these drivers so relaxed on a hot lap. I mean, I would be tensed up and shaking from nerves, just praying that I hit the apex. And he's just saying, oh, let me scratch my shoulder a bit. Oh yeah, that's the spot. Let me just take a sip of orange juice or something like that in the middle of a race or on a hot lap. And yet still they would probably beat me by a solid lap or two in a probably 2-lap race. It just shows how confident and quick these guys are, especially, a bit of oversteer there for Ayrton Reutemann, as was a fairly clean lap until that. Yeah, it doesn't improve because of that snap of oversteer.
So here we go, folks, as we are reaching the final minute of qualifying. Gael Valero able to get back that first place so far. So it is Gael Valero now leading the pack in qualifying, followed by Pedro Dean, who is about a quarter of a second behind him. So Gael Valero really starting to find his own out here, find pace. Like we said, we've seen in previous races before, especially these guys, we put them in the F3 cars out here, and they do an amazing job. So a lot of these guys definitely finding their own in the super formulas. Like we mentioned earlier, kind of sitting in that top spot right now with iRacing. Very popular series out there, the super formulas as well as the super formula lights. So same, pretty much the same chassis, cockpit, a few differences here and there, fewer horsepower, but nonetheless, man, I mean, Julian, out here, I guess since now, do you have any predictions who you think is going to take it home, at least for heat number 1?
I feel like a safe bet for almost all AMX races, whether it's AMX 5, 10, 15, or 20, as long as he's competing, you can always put your money on Mr. Valera. I mean, he's always up there, and he is right now. His qualifying has ended, and he is the man on pole position, so my money is on him. I hope the commentator curse does not strike once again, but I doubt it won't. I mean, we've seen him in these other AMX5 races, so consistent once he gets in the lead.
And going on there too, I mean, I think out here, as we can see right now, looking super relaxed, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Gael Valero, absolutely dominating so far in qualifying, coming away on that top spot, followed by Pedro Dean in second place. We got a lot of back and forth between these two drivers the entire time on the timing tower. Third place, we got Bruno De Carmo. In fourth, Miguel Araujo. Fifth place, Simon Demori. Sixth, Pedro Mora. Seventh, Martin Chico. Eighth, Mauricio Lozano. Ninth place, Evandro Dantas. 10th, Diego Villarreal. 11th, Ayrton Reutemann. And in 12th place, rounding it out, we got Vinny Dean. So both of the Dean brothers out here today on track. We'll have to keep an eye out for both of them. Like we said, Pedro Dean, he seems to always have really great timing, really great pace. But like we've seen in past races, just sometimes some of the worst luck. I think he's probably one of the drivers that's gotten, involved in incidents that were just, he had no fault at all. He was just caught up as a passenger, gets sandwiched between two drivers, gets clipped by someone being a bit aggressive. So, hopefully Pedro Dean out here able to get up onto the podium. We know he has the pace from qualifying. I'm gonna go with Pedro Dean. I'm gonna go be a little bit of the Lone Ranger out here. I think today might be his day out here, Julian.
Well, certainly a bit less basic your pick than mine with Valero. We're waiting for the lights to go out then. AMX5 is about to get underway in the Super Formulas, and they are underway, and I think it's a great start there for Valero. Yes, he's had a great start, as well as Pedro Dean. He's actually managed to slide one up the inside, going into turn one, then the track will dip away from him though. It's three abreast in the background, so he's taking a very wide line, does not want to get involved in any sort of chaos. Is now through turn two, it's three abreast. Yes, Vinicius Steen there, taking the lead, as we did have the reverse grid is now side by side right here with Simone De Mori and Bruno De Carmo, the battle of people who have three names in one name, I guess. But look at them, still snaking away. This is why open wheel is so good. You can really stick with each other when it starts a car like a Formula 1 car.
And looking out on the field too, so of course we have the Dean brothers out here. I'm sure we'll hopefully try to work out together a little bit, as well as a couple of Delete Esports guys. So time and time again, having the teammates on here, especially in cars that the draft is such a key factor. We'll definitely have to see how the strategy comes out here. Out in heat number one, these drivers do have a mandatory pit stop. So heat number one, a bit more of a longer race, whereas heat number two is a bit more of a sprint race. So heat one, mandatory pit stop. Heat number two, there is no mandatory pit stop. So more points on the line. These drivers are going to have to be a little bit more careful out here in heat number one. But right now, still looking very good. The drivers all slotting in line right now as we see the first driver off into the pits there. We'll have to see, again, trying to go for the undercut, really just get out of traffic, get that clean air. That will be Pedro Dean, Miguel Araujo following suit behind him as well, Martin Chico. So your first three drivers into the pit lane now, Vinny Dean, Ayrton Reutemann, and Evandro Dantas trying to get to the lead early on. We'll have to see, again, great battles. Ooh, a great move right there. Mauricio Lozano, Bruno De Carmo. Oh no, spin out from Vinny Dean. So they're off camera. Vinny Dean, unfortunately, getting spun out. We're going to have to check the replay, see exactly how that happened.
Well, he was leading, and another spinner there. Look at that, tagging the rear end. I think that was Evandro Dantas there who spun. Yes, it was. Such a shame. He was doing so well, just tagging the rear end, or maybe just oversteer. I'm not really too sure. I'm sure we'll get a replay as well. But after all of that, all the spins, Simone De Mori leads away then at his 33% home track, being from 3 different countries. So somewhat a home GP for him. And Reutemann, a second behind Bruno De Carmo, looking for. But yep, the first pit stops have happened. And just a reminder to everyone, you just need to stay in your pit box and you need to stop at yours. We've seen people lose races because they just went through the pit lane or they stopped at someone else's. So it's not a tire change, it's just a way to interpret some strategy. So you can pit to avoid getting stuck in traffic. We see now, right here, Pedro Mora coming into the pit lane, probably to avoid getting stuck behind Bruno De Carmo and Reutemann fighting, or you can go all the way to the end to avoid the fighting that from the guys that have already pit. And usually different drivers have different preferences But now Bruno Di Carmo down the inside of Reutemann, and he's got that move done very easily into turn 1, and that seems like the best overtaking spot so far.
Yeah, right there. So turns 1 and 2 definitely showing these drivers, like I said, just really finding the edge of grip on here. These cars are definitely high risk, high reward vehicles like we got to see in qualifying. They have to just have super smooth inputs to really make sure, as well as super smooth through the steering wheel, super smooth through the throttle, as we've already seen a couple drivers just kind of getting spun out just a little bit. I mean, people out here asking with if they have the aids in these vehicles. So I mean, they do have, you know, a bit of traction, a bit of different things going on in the different vehicle. Oh, as now we're seeing the picture replay there. Vinny Dean, yep, just got a little bit unsettled right there going into turn number 2, got spun around. So although these drivers make it look easy from time to time, these cars are not that easy to push them all the way to their limits. Even driving it at even 85-90% is still pretty difficult in these vehicles unless you are just used to them, running them day in and day out, which I think, you know, that is one thing, like you mentioned, from Gael Valero, one of the most consistent drivers out here. Ayrton Reutemann now looks like going to be getting overtaken again. So you see Ayrton Reutemann, Gael Valero up into 3rd place, Bruno Di Carmo 2nd, and Simone De Mori leading the pack up in 1st place, as well as setting the fastest lap right now. So these drivers, we are lap 4 of 24. We'll have to see exactly where they go. I think now once the drivers start really settling into their group, not having to worry too much about the battles, that's when they start thinking about, okay, when am I going to pit? And for right now, I think we're going to see what we've seen all season long of Gael Valero trying to get as far ahead of as he can, hitting the pits probably about the halfway point out here in AMX 5, of course. Right there we see a picture-in-picture of the replay. Evandro Dantas just going to the inside, and ooh, just a little bit of contact there with Reutemann and getting spun around. So just like that, folks, another one getting sent towards the back of the pack. We'll have to see, as now Pedro Dean still leading the pack of drivers that have already taken their pit stops.
Just a quick comment on Vinicius Dean's spin. It seems like he bottomed out on the curb bump. We can point out when they go through turn 2, but that curb pretty high up, and it sits higher up than the track, so you've got a little bump and then the curb, and it seems like he just got a little bunny hop there, and when he landed the ground, just spinning, as you get so often with open wheels, which are so close to the ground where the elevation just drops, and there is quite a bit of elevation through turn 1, especially right on the apex. You can see that actually sometimes the cars take off and slap back down onto the ground there quite aggressively. So yeah, Reutemann though, he's P4, he's dropped back a bit from Bruno Di Carmo and Gael Valero, but Valero seems to be closing in to Bruno Di Carmo. That's a fight that you get pretty much every race. It's pretty much guaranteed that those two will have some sort of altercation on the track.
Definitely. So, I mean, like you mentioned too, how low these cars are to the ground with the elevation change out here. I'm glad these drivers don't have to worry about the plank on the bottom like you would in Formula 1. So one less thing for them to have to worry about. I mean, really just, of course, that is the beauty out here in iRacing. A lot of these drivers really, especially AMX, we're running fixed setups out here. So it's not going to be who has the best team overall, who has the best driver. Of course, it is always helpful whenever you have a spotter in with you. You have a crew chief, maybe some of your teammates. So I guess teammates do play a little bit of a factor, but not the setups, not having your mechanics say, all right, who's going to come out here and have the best setups in these cars, get just ends on ends of practice. Everyone out here, equal machinery, and so far it's been a great race. Simone De Mori still leading by just over 2 seconds. So we'll have to keep an eye on what's going on in front of the pack. Bruno Di Carmo, Gael Valero starting to catch up a bit on him. Ayrton Reutemann, a little bit of a gap. So right now, I mean, we've kind of seen this be discussed a bit out here in AMX 5 this season, especially heat number 1 being a little bit longer sessions than heat number 2. Some of these drivers are just kind of saying, you know what, it's really become the pattern of AMX 5. During heat number 1, these drivers getting a little bit spread out early on in the race. Of course, like we said, that mandatory pit stop, it's really going to see once we have almost every single time a few drivers hit the pits right at the beginning, a few drivers wait until the very end, and quite a few drivers getting it right in the middle. So we'll have to see if these drivers have to have a little bit of a splash and dash. I don't think so out here, as we already seen the pit stop, the pit timing for Pedro Dean, Pedro Mura. A lot of these guys looking at roughly about 1 second on average, the actual pit stop. So definitely we'll have to see where they fall towards the end of the race. almost 50 degrees on track right now. So not too hot, not too cool. I mean, a little bit on the warmer side. I think we've seen, like I said, roughly 32 degrees, the air temps, and hovering around 50 degrees. The weather looking pretty clear out here today, and that is my weather forecast for the day. We'll have to see as we catch up now. Simon Demori setting the best through Sector 2. Great to see what these guys are doing. I expect a battle to be very soon, Julian, especially once these guys get their pit stops out of the way.
Especially the battle is starting to and yeah, you pointing out people pitting very early. Maybe we should implement some rule where you can't pit within the first 5 laps, just so we get a bit of battling or something like that. Well, we will have a driver's briefing. I think it's on Sunday, might be on Monday, not sure, but yeah, the first ever driver briefing in AMX where the drivers can speak their mind on the new system, give some positives, negatives, recommendations, just on all the tiers all throughout 0 to 15, I believe. So that'll be very interesting how that plays out. But still, Simone de Mori leads away. Bruno de Carmo, I think he has been closing up yet. You can see there by 2/10 in Sector 1 alone. So I think Simone de Mori, yep, I think he made a mistake in Sector 1. He must have, because it lost 2 more tenths than he did in Sector 2. And you can scan that QR code if you want live timing of these drivers out here and be a proper analysis of their lap times. You can see, though, right now it seems like Valero might be the quickest out of the front 3.
Definitely out here, yeah. So Valero through Sector 3, still holding it down a little bit faster. Bruno de Carmo slowing down a little bit, about 400ths off of Simon de Mori. So now as we head into Sector 4, time he comes across the screen, still a little bit faster. So yeah, like you said, Simon de Mori just starting to lose a bit more pace. I'm not sure if it's a bit of that mental thing. Hey, you make one mistake and mistakes kind of start to compound on each other, or if he may have hit one of these curbs a little bit too hard. Like we've seen earlier, some of these sausage curbs, how low these vehicles are to the ground, can kind of disrupt the vehicle a little bit. So I find it a little bit more unlikely that there might be damage, but like we said, these guys are going to start catching up. So we might have a 3-way battle for the lead coming up very soon. Right now, lap number 8 of 24. The leading order is still Simon de Mori in first, Bruno de Carmo second, and Gael Valero in third place.
And I think we've entered the place where you just go look at strategy. You go look at how far behind are the people that have made a pit stop, and would they be ahead or behind the front 3, which are yet to make a pit stop. But Valero seems to be catching up, not by a whole lot, maybe 1/10, 1.5 tenths a lap. You pretty much need to be within at least 4 tenths going on to the back straight, which is another good overtaking spot. But most of the time you just use the back stretch to get real close to the car in front, and then you can hit him with the attack going into turn 1 after the main straight. Lovely helicopter shot there of the track, and it's a pretty long track. It's not very wide. It kind of follows where it goes, comes back on itself quite a bit, then especially going into the chicane, the left, the right, and then the long right-hander onto the main straight. And I think Valero's lost a bit of time in the final sector, some network issue. He seems to have quite a bit of those. His car disappears every now and then, but he is still in and racing. When do you think these top 3 are going to pit then, Kevin?
I mean, I think really right now it comes down to when is the fuel going to come into play? Because, I mean, out here, although they're not really out there too much, I don't feel like the tires are going to be too big of an issue. I don't think we're going quite long enough. I mean, they might go out here, but just knowing how much longer it's going to take, although in Super Formulas, it definitely wouldn't take as much time as if they were out here in a GT3 car to get those wheels off and replaced. But I think unless it's really starting to feel that towards the end, I think it's going to be more of maybe a bit of a splash and dash, maybe a bit of, hey, I just need to come in here, stop and go. So I think these top 3 drivers most likely are going to wait. I think Gael Valero, I mean, it really depends also if they start getting into a bit of a battle, because I could see a battle going on between Bruno de Carmo and Gael Valero. If that happens, they get into a battle, I think Gael Valero is going to go for the undercut over the other couple of drivers. But most likely, if fuel isn't an issue, if tires aren't an issue, all top 3 of these drivers are going to really wait until the last several laps until they can take their pit stops.
And when it comes to tires, this track, I mean, it doesn't really kill the tires, but there are some high load situations. The fast chicane being one of them, turn 2, And yeah, the corner that's during the straight, I mean, all of those load the tires quite a bit. As picture in picture there, you see the battle for P2 on the main screen and the battle for P5, which is between Ayrton Reutemann and Lozano. Then I think Lozano just a bit too far back, but Valero, I said he dropped back. He maybe dropped back, cooled his tires a bit down, as now he's right behind Bruno De Carma. And if these guys start battling, that would be great for Simon De Mori, as though what Valero's caught up to Bruno De Carma, and Bruno De Carma is catching up to Simon De Mori. So this could get interesting. I think an undercut could be the smartest thing to do here, just to get out of the traffic and get some clean air. If you come out in clean air, that is, that's what's the question. Well, remember, a pit stop could be, what, about 20 seconds, maybe a bit less, 18, something like that. So you go see that you don't come out in traffic, especially in traffic that is yet to pit, as those guys will hold you up.
And looking out here too, so another thing to keep in mind. Sorry, I had to look at the weather once again. So I don't think the weather's really going to come into play. Like I said, it's a pretty sunny, nice day out here. I had to convert some of the temperatures because I was saying, hey, it's a little bit warmer, not too warm. So, I mean, I guess it depends also where you live. I'm used to living in the desert. So right now, about 32 degrees Celsius, almost 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So I guess that's a matter of opinion too, depending where you live. I think maybe out here for the Nürburgring, yeah, okay, this is definitely a bit on the warmer side out here today. Like I said, I'm used to living in the desert, so 90 degrees, that's a nice day for us. Not quite as hot as it gets in some places like Phoenix, or even in the Middle East, some places like Abu Dhabi, where it's, just crazy blazing hot temps. But I mean, living out here, kind of desert climate that I'm used to, we got to see it. That's one of the reasons that the Las Vegas Grand Prix is held at night. You do not want to be holding a race like that during the day. So matter of opinions on the line. But right there, a little bit of tire smoke coming out from Gael Valero. So Gael Valero has been slowly reeling in Bruno De Carmo out here. Like we said, we are almost at the halfway point through this race. We'll have to keep an eye on where the strategies start to change. As now it's still Pedro Dean is leading the pack from all of the guys who have hit the pits so far. So right now, Pedro Dean has a gap of about 22 seconds from the leader. So I think there's still going to be a good chance with Pedro Dean getting caught up in some of the traffic. Some of these guys out here towards the front just showing a little bit better pace than some of the guys in the middle of the pack. However, we had a great qualifying session from some of these guys. So again, a lot of spread out vehicles, really between 6th and 5th place, as well as 11th and 10th, seem to be some of the biggest gaps on the field.
Yeah, going back to temperature, for me 32 degrees is an absolute scorch, being cold, or people saying I live at the North Pole. So a bit toasty for my liking, maybe a bit chilly for your liking. Like I said, depends where you live. But the battle for, it's pretty much the battle for P1 now, as they're within a second of Simon De Mori. That's when I would consider a battle starting, as that's when the slipstream starts to play a role and you can really close in on the straights. And there are quite a bit of straights here. But Valero, he's not made the move yet, and he has not looked like he wants to make a move. Maybe he's realized, okay, I may be quicker than Bruno De Carma, but not enough to warrant a move. He's not really holding me up right now. And maybe once they get to Simon De Mori, as they are catching by quite a bit. Yeah, look at that. Valero by half a tenth in both Sector 1 and Sector 2. And Bruno De Carma just a bit less than that. But like you said, Pedro Dean, he can certainly get caught up in some traffic. I mean, he's only 1 second off Villarreal then, so that can certainly play a role.
Absolutely. So, like we said, Simon De Mori, we got to see last season, probably not as many races out here as we've seen in previous seasons, but he's come back this year, definitely putting it back. I'll say this year, I mean, it's still all been in 2024, but coming back this season for season 6, absolutely been putting out some amazing races, as well as, I mean, pretty much all of our top 3 right now, everyone that is currently in podium contention. I think every single race that they've been in, it's been, I mean, door-to-door action. We got to see earlier on today with AMX ZERO from some of these guys. Of course, we did not get to see Gael Valero out there in AMX ZERO, but glad that he is back out here for AMX 5. Speaking of AMX ZERO, just a quick reminder, everyone out there, if you do want to get out involved in some of these races, AMX ZERO, open to everyone, no minimum iRating, absolutely free to join. So if you want to get in on the action, AMX ZERO is a great place to start out there. like we mentioned earlier, got to see a few special guests earlier on today out at AMX ZERO, as well as some of these same guys out on track right now, being able to put it down in the Volkswagen Jetta. Ooh, a bit of a lockup right there. Simon Demori making a mistake. Bruno DeCarmo, I think he had that split second hesitation of, do I try to go through the inside? Do I try to hold on to this? I think he didn't want to really compromise his line too much, just checked up slightly. So right now, it is absolutely a battle for the lead going on our hands, folks. Lap 13 of 24. Finally, Bruno DeCarmo now on the hunt for that first place position, but he has to keep in mind Gael Valero is right behind him as well. So it's about to get good out here, Julian.
Absolutely, and I think Bruno DeCarmo wants to make this move sooner rather than later, just so he has a car between him and Valero. No, actually, he's pitting. So he was like, okay, I might get held up by this guy who's going to defend quite harshly. Oh, drifting into the pit lane and taking both the rally way in qualifying and the race. You're just saying about AMX ZERO being free. Hell, maybe I might join for a race or two and get absolutely crushed in my dreams of professional sim racing with it as well. But now Valera has inherited P2 and 7 tenths behind the leader. Usually he waits until the final lap to pit. Will he do that again this time? Honestly, I think so, just so he does not get held up in traffic.
Definitely going on. So, yeah, just like that. Now we'll have to see exactly where Bruno DeCarmo comes out, and it looks like he's coming out right behind Pedro Dean. So Pedro Dean still holding on some great pace up to 4th place. Now it is only the top 3 drivers still yet to pit. So like I said, I think these two are really going to try to get as far ahead as they can. We got to see Bruno DeCarmo. A lot of these drivers kind of waiting, like we mentioned earlier, waiting till that halfway point to get in there, maybe a bit of a splash and dash. I'm trying to see if anyone possibly changed tires. We see Mauricio Lozano had about a 6-second pit stop, so he may be one of the drivers that has indeed changed tires out here. Or if he had maybe a bit of damage, we'd have to see exactly what's going on. Most of the drivers still averaging around a second, maybe a little bit over a second into the pits. We have Martin Chico out there, kind of a stop and go. So I think it has been a little bit of a splash and dash for some of these guys out here heading back out. But right now, Gael Valero, who's been catching up lap after lap, just a little bit better pace over Simon Demori. And now with Simon Demori getting that lockup earlier on, Bruno DeCarmo trying to hit the pits, trying to get that undercut, but unfortunately coming out behind Pedro Dean. So we'll have to see. Bruno DeCarmo still 4 seconds behind Pedro Dean. I think that's what it's going to come down to right now, of that big of a gap between the drivers. I called Pedro Dean early on saying if he's been one of the most unlucky drivers out here, but I think if he can have a clean race, he might be able to come out with a win. We're definitely going to have to keep an eye out on where these two, but now the battle side by side. Gael Valero trying to make a move over Simon Demori. Will he make a stick? Just having to concede that spot back, but he's letting him know he has come out here, and the absolute serious look on both of these drivers right now, trying to focus. Both of them have what it takes to get it done out here. We know as well Pedro Dean leading the pack of the drivers out of pit. I think we're going to have a 3-way battle going on to our hands coming up after these guys hit the pits, Julian.
Yes, and look at that. This is what we talked about in Heat 1, setting the move up a bit earlier. And you saw there Valero making Simon Demori just go a bit defensive into the chicane so he can get the better run with the normal racing line. He has to look to the outside of the chicane. He's going to do it once again, left to right, try and get the better run into the final corner. And he might even do it one more time. Yes, fake the move, just set Simon Demori off with just a slightly early apex line to where he can take the normal racing line, get a better run onto the main straights. Now Simon Demori, he needs to break the slipstream and hug the inside just to make sure he stays ahead. And I think he has stayed ahead. He has survived for another lap as long as he can just cover off the switchback, and he has done just that. Coming back to your prediction of Pedro Dean, tell what, it's looking good. He came out, or when Bruno DeCarmo came out of the pit lane, he was 3 seconds behind Pedro Dean. And Valero, he's certainly losing time behind Simon Demori right now. So if I'll be Valero, I'd actually pit now. Because if you wait a bit longer, you might even come out behind Mora. And that's going to be a real blow to his fight for the win. But right now, it's looking like your prediction is bang on correct with just a handful of laps to go.
I mean, right here, I think that would have been the move. I think right now, either one of these drivers or both of them, I don't know. Well, we'll see who hits the pits first. I think right here for Simon Demori, it would be a good time to pit because he knows he's going to have to be super defensive if he wants to hold off Gael Valero. So he might just have to go for the undercut here. Of course, Gael Valero also knowing he has pace over Simon Demori, but just can't quite get past him. So, like I said, I think the last lap, that might have been the time to pit. Ooh, Gael almost getting a little bit squirrely, and he will hit the pit. So Valero right now, we'll have to see if it was a bit too late now, leaving plenty of room for Simon Demori to go out there and really try to set down the fastest lap. Of course, Pedro Dean so far has the fastest lap. So Pedro Dean right now leading the pack of the guys who has pit. Where is Gael Valero going to come out on this one? This is definitely going to be to the line. We'll have to see now Pedro Dean coming out around on the home stretch. Where is Gael Valero going to come out? He's still hitting the stop now. So Pedro Dean looking like he will come out in front of Gael Valero.
By quite a bit as well, Valero behind Bruno de Carmo. So yeah, his usual strategy of staying out just did not work, just because Simon Demori, I mean, hats off to you. That's a pretty good defensive job there. And against Valero, it's not the easiest thing, but he held on for dear life and it seemed to work. But yep, Pedro Dean, the 3.7 seconds ahead of Bruno de Carmo and a further 1.5 seconds ahead of Valero. So right now it's looking good for him with less than 8 laps to go. And I mean, the gap is, what, 3.8 seconds, and it's really stayed around that. So I doubt it's going to come down that much. Maybe if Valero can get ahead of Bruno de Carmo early and really put his foot down. But I would say right now, your prediction is looking good.
And looking out here, I'm seeing the gap between Pedro Dean and Simon Demori. It was about 22 seconds earlier, now all the way down to about 17.75 seconds. So he's already starting to close that gap. Like I said, some of these drivers, once they're able to get that clean air, they're really just able to shine, put down fastest laps. Pedro Dean able to improve his fastest lap last time around, a 1:26.106. So he is showing absolute great pace over the other drivers in front of him. So I think he's going to just keep closing that gap. As now Ayrton Reutemann finally hitting the pits, was up there with the top 3 for quite a while, and now dropping back down. So we'll see where he comes out. Probably, yep, about middle of the pack for Ayrton Reutemann once he's out of the pits. So right now as well, Simon Demori really going to have to just push it, and we'll see if he's going to wait until the last lap. He knows he has no pressure now, all the time in the world to just be setting down fast lap after fast lap, but so does Pedro Dean, who is now up to second place. So here we go, folks. About 17 seconds. That gap keeps closing between Simon Demori and Pedro Dean. I don't think Simon Demori may have enough time to hit the pits and come back out to get out back into first place, or even possibly back into a podium, as we see Bruno de Carmo, Gael Valero starting to get very close. We'll have to see, keep an eye on them as well, the battle for third place.
I think Simon Demori, he just didn't have the pace to match Pedro Dean, Bruno de Carmo, Gael Valero. I mean, he stayed ahead because of his defensive drive. And the problem being in front is you don't know what the guy behind you will do, so you can't react to what he does. Valero saw, okay, he's staying out, I'm a pit then. Simon Demori, he can't react like that. I mean, he could have, but he would have completely crossed the pit entry line. Probably would have spun because of the fat curb. Oh, look at that, talking about a spinner, Bruno de Carmo looking up and then almost spinning. Valero's going to say thank you very much, and now the gap is 5 seconds, so I think Bruno de Carmo really slowed down on that lap. Or Pedro Dean, I mean, he just set a new fastest lap, so that would make sense. Never mind, Valero is now taking that right off him. 0.55. That's a rapid time. I think Bruno de Carmo did make a mistake. Look at that, 27.2. That is well off the pace.
So just like that, folks, we are now lap number 19 of 24 out here in heat number 1. Keep this in mind. Heat number 1 does have double the points of heat number 2 as well as qualifying. So qualifying and heat number 2 have the same amount of points. And I'm looking at the timing screen going crazy right now on the timing tower. Reutemann, Lozano, Villarreal, a lot of switches going up right there. So we'll have to see exactly what happened. Unfortunately, Vinny Dean having to hit the pits a second time, so he's a lap down. We'll have to see if that comes into play as well out here, Julian. If Vinny D getting back out on the track, if he's going to I mean, usually a lot of these drivers are pretty good about letting the lap traffic by. If they are getting lapped, they usually concede that space, give them plenty of room to go by. But also knowing that he has his brother out here, I'm not sure if they might just try to get in front of his brother, try to give him a bit of a tow. Anything can happen. Is right now Pedro Mura hot on the heels of Miguel Araujo. Here we go, folks. Lap 20, a battle in the mid of the pack between these two drivers, Mura Araujo. Again, I think out here, I'm not sure how much of the strategy came into play. Like we said, the Delinte Esports driver, Mura, out here with his teammate, Bruno De Carmo. We typically see more of the Delinte guys out on track, but like we've said, there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of these guys now starting to get into the Pro Series. And speaking of Pro Series, up towards the front of the pack as well, I would not doubt it if it is just a matter of time before these guys start getting into the Pro Series as well.
Absolutely. One honor would be to commentate on these guys who are making their way through the esports ranks and then reaching the top and looking back and being like, yeah, I commentated on those guys. What a cool dad story that could be. Well, back to the fight then, and Valero, he is certainly closing in on Pedro Dean, but I feel like it's a copy-paste from Heat 2 of AMX ZERO, where due to Barrichello there, he got into P2 but just ran out of time to catch up to the leader. Of course, Simon de Mora yet to make his pit stop, so the effective race leader is Pedro Dean, gap at 4 seconds. Pedro Mora, he is closing up to Miguel Araujo ever so slightly, and I think we could see a move to P5 at the very end of the race. It would be the lap 24. We just started lap 21 then with Simon de Mora. When is he gonna make his pit stop? Is it gonna be lap 23?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I think he's been trying to just get as far ahead as he can, but now already under 14 seconds, so he's losing, I mean, almost, yeah, I mean, close to a second over the last few laps, at several seconds. I mean, it was 17 seconds a few laps ago, now 13 seconds. So there we see, of course, like we mentioned, just so much going on is now Araujo now side by side. So a bit of an action towards the mid of the pack. Bruno De Carmo trying to hang around the outside, battling off Miguel Araujo, who's going to come out here, gets through the switchback, and it looks like Bruno De Carmo is going to be taking that P4. Araujo, no, switching it back and forth again. So, ooh, that was, we're going to have to maybe see another angle on that. I mean, that looked like Bruno De Carmo had that position. I'm not sure if he had a bit of a slowdown or if just made a little bit of a mistake. I mean, these guys still going back and forth. It was Bruno De Carmo, Gael Valerio, looking like that was going to be the battle to watch earlier on, but now Miguel Araujo saying, hey guys, I'm also in this, don't forget about me. I came here to try to get on the podium. Still about 10 seconds though, however, between Araujo and Gael Valero. So currently lap 21 of 24, Simon de Mora still leading it, has yet to take his pit stop. He's probably going to be dropping down. We'll have to see. Pedro Dean has a very good shot at winning this one as well. Gael Valero on the podium. So right now, the battle between Araujo and Bruno De Carmo may be for a podium position as Simon de Mora finally hitting the pit lane with just 3 to go.
I think Bruno De Carmo made the same mistake coming out of the chicane, because I saw him, he was all over the place. I mean, he was like 8 seconds ahead of that group of cars. Coming onto the main straight, they were side by side and ahead of him. So yeah, just oversteer out of the chicane, and I think he has killed his rear tires a bit, as I did see quite a bit of oversteer coming from him, as Simon de Mora, because of Bruno De Carmo's spin, he's back into the podium positions then, and pretty much where I think he expected to be, as I think he knows Valero was a bit quicker. But yeah, Bruno De Carmo, I think he's killed his rear tires because he was oversteering quite a bit, also out of turn 1, and that's how he lost it as well. So I think it was a bit of a spin. Very interesting that he killed his tires this early on, like lap 19, lap 20 or so. I would expect around now, lap 22, to get a bit of oversteer, but it seemed like he was pushing a lot ahead of his pit stop.
Yeah, and I mean, just to keep in mind too, so back to qualifying, it was Gael Valero was the quickest by about a quarter of a second over Pedro Dean. But like we said, I think that battle going on between Valero and Simon de Mora really just slowed down both of those drivers. So now Gael Valero has just over 3.5 seconds and just over 2 laps to do it. So like we said, Pedro Dean, as long as he is able to keep it clean, he is going to be walking out of here a winner today in heat number 1, especially. Oh, Gael Valero spinning out. As soon as we said that, Gael Valero making an uncharacteristic mistake there now. Wow, just, man, I'm lost for words right now. That is something that we rarely see from Gael Valero, making a mistake like that.
I mean, the only explanation I have, there you go. I think he did pretty much what Bruno De Carmo did, just quite a bit worse. Yep, getting on the curb, and yep, I think he must have lost his cool there, Because, I mean, we saw him, he was pushing pretty hard, and he would probably start to get angry out there. Simone de Mori, who held him up so much out of its pit stop, to where he started driving with anger. That's the only explanation, I think, because he doesn't make those mistakes just driving when he's on autopilot or even somewhat pushing. I mean, he must have been really pushing, as now Pedro Dean has got a very comfortable 10-second lead. So it seems like your prediction there, Kevin, is bang on correct.
And just for everyone out there, so no, folks, these races are not scripted. I have been wrong plenty of times, but like I said, I mean, just like that, yeah, I think we've only seen one other mistake that we got to see early on in the season whenever we were out in the GT3s, that we've seen Gael Valero was out there in the brand new McLaren, and unfortunately that one a little bit because of the rain had to do, so a bit of the rain coming to play out here. There is, I mean, been clear weather the entire time. Like I said, I'm not sure if these guys, maybe perhaps a little bit of the tire wear really starting to play now at this point in the race, but nonetheless, the white flag is out and is looking very good for Pedro Dean. Now over a 10-second lead. He has this one very much in the bag as long as he doesn't make a mistake as well. Now Simon de Mori, Gael Valero, Miguel Araujo now trying to get up onto the podium. So I think this is the battle going to be going into it, folks. Miguel Araujo currently sitting in 4th place, trying to do whatever he can to get onto that podium spot. Simon de Mori, we got to see earlier on, doing a great job of defensive with Gael Valero, and now doing a great job defending against Araujo. So this is what it is. A few turns left before we're going to be crowning our winner for heat number 1. Simon de Mori has still on the bubble, about half a second between himself and Araujo. Julian, let's see if this one's going to come down to the line between these two drivers for 3rd place.
He needs to get a good run out of the hairpin, which he did. Actually, Simone de Mori got a great run out of it and through the fast chicane. Then this is where you want to be close, as you've only got really one braking zone to make up. He's 6/10 back. That's not going to be enough to make a move on the heavy braking zone on the chicane. He needs Simone de Mori to make a mistake, maybe on the traction or out of the chicane, like we've seen so many people make a mistake, Pedro Dean being one of them. The commentators, because they're talking about mistakes coming out of the chicane. That's the 3rd one, the 3rd big dog that we were talking about. Pedro Dean, Gael Valero, and Bruno de Carmo all making mistakes at the same spot, and that 10-second lead there has gone down to 8-5. Where's the finish line? There it is. He's lucky it's very early on in the straight, but a 10-second lead, less than 3 or so kilometers later, turned into a 4:10 lead further behind. You got Simone de Mori, who held off Miguel Araujo, but wow, I mean, what was that for a finish? So, like, mistakes you weren't expecting from those people happened. It's got to be the tires, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like I said, I mean, Pedro Dean, I've been in that position before where, hey, you're out there and just, I mean, the pressure, the emotions, everything going through your head, and just to make a mistake on the last lap. I've had that happen running the Indy 6 hour after the final stint, had no one around, and just made a spin out on nearly the final turn. So I get that, man. Once you start getting the emotion, just saying, hey, it is finally over. This is happening. This is real. And it just takes that little bit of loss of focus. Like we got to see early on, Gael Valero making a spin out. Now Pedro Dean on the final couple of turns having a spin out. Man, that one would have been absolutely heartbreaking for Pedro Dean. But nonetheless, our BenQ session winner, Pedro Dean, finally coming out here. The bad luck is finally running out. He is showing what he can do, and he ends up on that top step when it counts. Heat number 1, Pedro Dean, big congratulations. Gael Valero coming in 2nd place. Simone de Mori in 3rd place. Going down the row, 4th, we got Miguel Araujo. 5th, Bruno de Carmo. 6th, Pedro Moro. 7th, Mauricio Lozano. 8th, Diego Villarreal. 9th, Ayrton Reutemann. 10th, Alejandro Dantas. 11th, Martin Chico. And rounding it out in 12th, we got Vinny Dean with, of course, looks like on there, trying to see who had set the fastest lap on there. Calero, which is not on the timing screen right now. So bit of a timing error. I know Pedro Dean was setting absolutely blazing fast laps through there too, but nonetheless, let's see if he can do it again for heat number 2 as the drivers are off. The green flag, Vinny Dean leading the pack now. Ayrton Reutemann, Alejandro Dantas trying to go to the inside. Will they have it? We'll have to see. Vinny Dean, again, these drivers back onto cold tires, not wanting to make any mistakes early on, especially through the tight hairpins. We'll have to see now a couple drivers going out wide out there. It looks like Bruno de Carmo as well as Martin Chico. So Gael Valero now back in the middle of the pack as well. So these guys so far keeping it clean through the first few corners out here now. trying to put the pressure. Everyone out there, scan the QR code, get the live timing, get to see what we're seeing out here on the up in the booth. So these guys starting to get the train, and a big contact right there. So first contact of the day, that looks like Villarreal. Looks like Bruno DeCarmo out there. Martin Chico getting involved in that one as well. Ooh, that's definitely going to be replay worthy, Julian.
Yeah, that car is definitely unrecognizable. I saw a piece of carbon fiber just fly around. And then just, I think maybe a lockup going into, I'm sure we'll get a replay, but there was definitely some wheel banging or wheel locking, but Pedro Dean, he's managed to keep his nose clean, unlike Bruno De Carmo then, who is down and out of it, just like it was in AMX ZERO, and Pedro Dean there make his way into P6. Valero is in P4 with Simone de Mori splitting these guys, but Vinny Dean leads ahead of Roy Tamed, so it could get spicy up at the front there. Of course, we saw Vinny Dean, he lost the lead due to a spin going on to lap 2 in heat 1, but only 17 laps then in heat 2. Nice and short, pretty much a sprint race, and everyone's a whole lot closer apart from, well, the bottom 3 who needed to pit due to damage. Who's that? That's Martin Chico, and then number 6 of Evandro Dantes needing to pit. So Evandro Dantes, he's not had his best evening in AMX.
So just like that, and that will be Bruno De Carmo retiring. It looks like Martin Chico retiring from this race as well. So, I mean, just so unfortunate from them, especially seeing what happened in heat number 1, coming out here and first lap, you know, but like we said, hey, I know these guys can shake it off. Coming out next time will be definitely very interesting, but now it's still side by side. Great job, great shot from the aerial. Lozano, Vinny Dean, Ayrton Reutemann, just absolutely beautiful shot. Now going 2 by 2 into the Gael Valero, already making moves up onto podium position. So Gael Valero taking advantage of that early on. I know that he's going to be wanting this win in heat number 2. Got second place, had a spin out. Looks like Gael Valero doing a great job of shaking it off. Now, having to check up just a little bit there. These guys getting very, very close to each other now as we're in the back half. Ayrton Reutemann, Simone de Mori now falling down through the ranks. So a lot going, there's more contact going on. Lozano now absolutely getting taken out. We'll see it. Man, so much going on out here in heat number 2. These guys knew it's going to be a sprint race and have been aggressive off the bat.
Well, I was able to pick out quite a few going into the chicane. Someone locked the rears. First I thought it was Simone. Here we go, the race start incident. We'll look at that first. Then coming down towards the hip, and then I think it was the Linte Esports team that got hit. Yeah, look at that, missing the braking zone. That's the carbon fiber, the rear wing, and then all 3 of them coming together. And look at that, just a passenger at that point, isn't it? I think that was Evandro Dantes there. Just the passenger in there. It's such a shame. But then going into at the end of lap 2, going into the chicane, I think someone locked their brakes. First I thought it was Simone de Mori, but then he span later on coming out of the chicane. Then it seems like someone wanted to pit, but there was a car on the inside of that. So all chaos going on in the sprint race. We're down to 9 runners, and Lozano is whopping almost 10 seconds off. So I'm sure we'll get a replay from that as well, but no one seems to be wanting to give up any place early on in the races. Now Valero on the outside of Reutemann, now the switchback. He's practiced this move on Simone de Mori. This time he's kept his car pointing in the right direction, and he's got the inside going into the final corner. Reutemann's going to try hanging it around the inside. Can Pedro Dean get a good run out of the final corner to where he can contend with one of them? Ideally he wants to follow through with Valero. And look at the slipstream. He's got the double slipstream. He's going to pull out to the inside. But Reutemann, he's going to try holding it on the outside. Valero on the inside. Now Reutemann has got the inside, going into switchback right to left for Pedro Dean. And I think he's just picked off 2. No, but he stayed with Valero. And that's the critical part of that overtake.
And just like that, folks, we have a great battle going on for the lead. I mean, knowing that this one is a sprint race, these guys had to turn it up to 11 since the very beginning. Now making their way all the way through the pack, both Gael Valero and Pedro Dean up 10 positions. And there we see, the incident from Simone de Mori. Looks like that that might have been Vinny Dean right there getting involved in that one. Man, it's just so hard when you see unfortunate incidents like this. Of course, like I said, we do have the racing stewards out here, KARA. So if any of these drivers do feel like they've been wrong to any of these teams out here, say, you know what, that isn't fair racing. We're going to put in a protest. We'll have to wait and see as that. Like I said, you can always check all of the results, protests, race results, everything on amxrace.com, as well as check out our AMX Discord. Get to stay in the loop with everything that is going on. But right now, back to our leaders, Gael Valero and Pedro Dean. So these two battling out for first and second place out there in qualifying, as well as the end of heat number 1, the drama unfolding. So now lap 4 going into lap 5 of 17 out here. Heat number 2, the points, the big one to win was in heat number 1. Pedro Dean, of course, coming across on that, but now these two have a bit of a grudge match to settle. It is going to be back and forth all day long between those two. I expect, hopefully, we get to see it come down to the line with those two. Man, that would be such a great finish.
Absolutely, and it's looking like that's gonna happen. Dean just a tad bit quick in sector 1, of course. He had the slipstream down the main straight, so that could involve it. Here's what happened with Lozano then. I think someone wanted to go into the pit lane, or I think that Red Bull looking car was on the grass. Yep, lost grip and just slid right into him and got the car above it somehow and started pushing it into the pit lane, already being like, hey mate, you can't continue, let me help you out a bit. But then drifting out and almost collecting another, so almost 3 cars out right there. That could have been a blow there to all 3 of them. Luckily only 2 were involved, but still very aggressive. Just that entire sequence there. You had someone spinning on the entry, on the exit, and then also going into the corner after that.
Man, that's just absolutely crazy going on out here. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and wow, it's just crazy all around the board. I mean, all day long from AMX ZERO up to AMX 5, we've had a lot of stuff going on, a bit of drama going on. Like we said, you put them in the slower horsepower vehicles early on, there's going to be a lot of door bagging, a lot of bumper to bumper going on in those cars. Out here, they've kept it a little bit cleaner. I mean, heat number 1 was a fairly clean race. We only had a couple of incidents here and there. A lot of them were driver mistakes, but I mean, really out here in heat number 2, it's just been these guys having a bit of a crash fest so far. I mean, it's crazy to think that we're only 6 laps into this thing, so not even halfway through, and there's been so much to be going on already. A couple of drivers out now. Bruno De Carmo back onto the track. Martin Chico still out of this race. So I think right now Bruno De Carmo just knows, hey man, I'm just trying to get overall points for the season at this point. Just make sure to not get a DNF out here in heat number 2. Martin Chico, we'll have to see if he's going to stay out of this race or if he's going to pop back out on track at any point. But right now, still, Gael Valero already a second over Pedro Dean. We got to see last time, Pedro Dean, both of these drivers, I mean, really do have the pace. But once Gael Valero, as long as he doesn't have to defend too much, once he's able to get enough of a lead that Pedro Dean will not be in a slipstream, I think that's when he might just start walking away with this one, Julian.
Yep, my heart just sank to my stomach for a second, as I think there was a netcode issue where it looked like Valero's wheel fell off, but thank God there was no tree. His car disappeared, then it came back with a broken wheel, and then everything was soft. So I thought for a second he might have hit an invisible wall or something, but all good on him. Just want to point out that at the end of the race, when everyone's pushing, do you think we'll have the same problem where everyone kept spinning on the exit of that chicane?
I mean, out here, this one being a lot shorter race, I don't think that we'll see that. I mean, we kind of started seeing that around 25-30 minutes into the heat number 1. That's really when these drivers started making mistakes. Of course, the last couple of laps, we've seen very uncharacteristic mistakes out here. Gael Valero spinning out, Pedro Dean spinning out on the last couple of turns. So, I mean, I think right now it's going to be a bit of a mind game for these two drivers. Right now, Gael Valero is showing that he has better pace over Pedro Dean. So we'll have to see if Gael Valero is going to start pushing, if he's going to make any mistakes, or if both of these drivers learned from heat number 1 that, hey, I found the limit and I went past that limit, unfortunately spinning out. So definitely, especially on this back half of the track, once they start going into the last few turns through the chicanes, really, that's where it might just come down to out here. Again, the mind game from these drivers, both of them knowing that, hey, we had a spin out. Of course, it being later on in the race, maybe the tires were a bit of it, maybe they just tried pushing too hard. So we'll have to see. Pedro Dean now about 2 seconds off of Gael Valero. Gael Valero, this is a very dangerous place for him to be once he gets a lot of free air, not feeling that pressure from the other drivers. Like we said, this is when he seems to do his best work. So exactly who is going to come out the overall points leader day, it is still yet to be decided, folks, as we are now about halfway through, almost halfway through lap 8 of 17. Your running order is Gael Valero in first, Pedro Dean in second, and Pedro Murra in third.
Yeah, just about the top two. I mean, you had Valero on pole, Pedro Dean in second. He won, Pedro Dean first, Valero second. And now Valero first, Pedro Dean second. Those guys have looked the front row out in all the sessions so far. It's looking like it's going to be again. So they're going to pack up with a... Oh, and that's a big set. Evandro Dantas completely messing up his braking point and saying goodbye to his front wing. And that came from hitting the ground so much. I think he locked up or maybe just lost focus. As that was if he was trying to overtake Vinny Dean, that was really ambitious. But yeah, what I was going to say that Valero and Pedro Dean really going for it. And I mean, it shows they will come home with a proper point tally after race 13.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, looking out here, yeah, that was a crazy send. I don't think that was as much of a send as much as just a driver mistake. So I'm not sure if he was probably trying to peek to see how close can I get. But then again, without that front wing, I mean, just trying to stop, you are going to block up those wheels a lot easier. Now, Gael Valero still setting the fastest lap out here, nearly a 126 flat. So Gael Valero just getting faster and faster, it seems, as time goes by. I mean, it's still about 50 degrees out on the track temp, now 32 degrees out, the air temps out here. So, I mean, still pretty similar from what we were running earlier. But right now, Gael Valero just absolutely starting to find his groove, getting faster and faster as the time goes on. And, I mean, bringing back up the qualifying time, Gael Valero was just under a 1 minute 26. So we know he has even more pace in him as the time goes on. He's just getting a little bit more comfortable. Absolutely all of those places just out here. And one person that we got to see earlier on not having the best of heat number 2 was looking like he was fighting really good for heat number 1. Again, like we said, just a lot of this, sometimes you get unlucky, sometimes you just get a bit aggressive, make mistakes, other drivers make mistakes, get run into you. That'd be, of course, I'm talking about Simone de Mori. Great run out in heat number 1 and now currently sitting back in 10th place. So some of these drivers just, I mean, really, once we get to these sprint race formats, I think the incidents are what make or break the races.
Yeah, most of the time it's the guys who are at the back of the grid then who can just stay out of carnage. This was Evandro Dantas continuing on without a front wing. And Pedro Dean, I think he's not pushing as hard as he did in the main race because he might still be a bit scarred of what happened in the main race. He's like, don't do it again. Don't do it. Be very careful on your right foot. Don't have a heavy right foot. Gear up nice and early to get no wheel spin, especially through that chicane. So he might still be a bit nervous from what happened there. Valero, I think he knows it's the tires, or he's just got the confidence that it wasn't him who caused that mistake. So he just keeps on pressing on then. But Lozano is now right behind Evandro Dantas, who's not got a front wing, but without a front wing, he's going to be a quick thing down the straight. So it's probably going to take a bit of time. Maybe going into the chicane, the first chicane, sorry, where Lozano can make his move.
Absolutely. So we're going to have to see, is like I said, I think right now it is going to be kind of towards the middle or the back of the pack that we're going to start seeing these battles. Still Lozano, Dantas. Again, really unlucky for a lot of these drivers out here today. Some of them, once they seem to get back, I don't know if it was the cold tires, I don't know what it was, right there, a little bit of a lockup from Dantas now, leaving Lozano starting to close the gap. He knows, all right, I just got to focus in. Lozano as well, Diogo Villarreal, so far faster through Sector 1. Love to see us Villarreal. Probably not going to catch up as he's already 10 seconds in. A beautiful pass right there, just absolutely textbook from Mauricio Lozano. So Lozano now up into 7th place. Evandro Dantas falling down into 8th place.
Wow. Well, Valero's checked out in the front 3 seconds out of the Brazilian of Pedro Dean, then a further 5 seconds to the next Brazilian of Pedro Moore. Quite a few Pedros in this league. It's a good name, big fan. Valero still leads, and this is Valero. I mean, we've said it before. As soon as this man has clean air, no one in front of him, no one behind him stressing him out, he turns on autopilot. And I mean, I'm not sure if he does, but he might even get tunnel vision. And once again it happened there that his tires fell off. Gets tunnel vision and he's like, oh shit, it's already lap 11. Oh, I've just won the race now. Pedro Dean 3 seconds behind. I think he'll still be happy that he got the win in Heat 1, which is of course double points. So that is a big opportunity to where he got points, and he got those points. So I think he'll be very happy with that as well.
So just with that, so here we go, folks. It is still lap 11 of 17, like you mentioned. Kyle Valero just super calm, cool, and collected up front in first place. Pedro Dean now still trying to push, but like you said, he's not pushing as much as we've seen during Heat 1. Definitely that spin out is still in the back of his mind, saying, all right, he also has no pressure. Pedro Moura still 6.5 seconds right now as we go into lap number 12. I mean, right now, I think it's going to be like that for all top 3 of the drivers. They say, hey, I am in a podium spot. I am comfortable with being in a podium spot. You always want to push it more, but I think if they are aware of what happened in heat number 1 towards the end of the race, it's really just saying, okay, I'm just going to focus on overall season points. We're only a few weeks into this thing, so not even halfway through the season of AMX 5. So these drivers are definitely trying to keep that in mind. Of course, every position matters, but with Heat 1 being double the points of Heat 2, I think that puts a little bit less pressure for some of the guys that have already done very well in that Heat number 1, as well as doing very well in qualifying. So, like we said, top 2 from qualifying all the way to right now. Gael Valero besting Pedro Dean in qualifying. Pedro Dean besting Gael Valero in heat number 1. And right now it's looking like Gael Valero might just be edging out Pedro Dean for heat number 2. Like I said, right now it's just going to come down to no mistakes made, keep it clean, and you can just see how fast these drivers are going out there. 284 kilometers an hour through the straight.
I think that's what most people don't know, is that these Super Formula, I think they're faster than F3 cars and probably up there with F2 cars. Maybe a bit slower than the F2 cars, but they are proper fast for an open wheeler. That's not as a that does not have the caliber of like a F1 car or other open wheel. But when it comes to these like junior series, it's definitely up there as one of the quick ones. Went on board with this some of the lap on Pedro Dean, and you can tell he's not really pushing, he's just controlling his pace, and I think that's the smartest thing to do. I mean, we're talking about his spin there and how it's still in the back of his head, but still very important to have that same mentality going into the sprint race, knowing like, okay, will I beat Valeras? Now we see Diego Villarreal then right behind Evandro Dantas going into the chicane. Evandro Dantas still out there with no front wing, so he is hoping that that checkered flag comes as soon as humanly possible. And I think Villarreal will get him here on the straight. I mean, Evandro Dantas a bit quicker on the straight because he does not have that front wing, but Villarreal will have the slipstream, and in the corner is just the overall downforce and grip.
So here we see, yeah, definitely Villarreal gonna have to be a bit more gutsy going into some of these corners if he's gonna want to make up that time. Just because, I mean, just how much speed, how much time was gained on that home straight. Definitely Diego Villarreal. I think right now, too, you know, these drivers, even towards the back and mid of the pack, if they're wanting to push it, how much do they want to push it? Now, Villarreal looking to make a move. We'll see if he's going to take it now on the outside, just ever so closely inching towards it. But out here at the Nürburgring on the Grand Prix Strecke, there are quite a bit of long sweeping turns and some of those straights. So, I mean, right here, it's a very well-balanced track. You know, a few hairpins, a few long sweeping turns. So I think right now, definitely the battle going on, as Evandro Dantas knows he's not going to make it easy for Diego Villarreal to get this pass done. So really, I think by now he knows whether or not he has someone on comms with him or has his spotter saying, hey, you have no more front wing. I'm sure he can feel it through the front tires. That something seems a bit off. And now Diego Villarreal looking to make a move, getting side by side. These guys trying to see who's going to have it. Diego Villarreal not quite getting the top speed as Evandro Dantas braking a little bit earlier. And these guys still through the chicane now up here. Will he be able to get onto the draft? I mean, they're getting really, really close. So with only about 3 laps left out here, just over 3 laps, we'll have to see where Diego Villarreal is going to come out after these two keep battling it out. But I mean, it's great to see. You don't really expect it. You always look towards the front for great battles, but still here, a battle for P8 going on nonetheless. Ooh, a little bit of a lockup right there from Dantas. Villarreal going a little bit wide. Oh, I'm not sure if that marbling on the track just got him a little bit loose as well.
Well, going around outside of someone who does not have a front wing is certainly brave, and I just want to point out Villarreal has probably got the best beard I've ever seen. I am well jealous of that. But is it going to help him try and overtake Evandro Dantas? Then he had a look then. Oh, Evandro Dantas, that's a big look up, and there we go. He saw the mistake, and he's going to say, thank you very much. I'll pick up the pieces, and I think he is ahead, and he is going into the fast chicane, and that's what we were talking about, just waiting for the mistake pretty much all evening long. You just go force the driver into a mistake, and he did just that, as it will only be a matter of time until Simone De Mori catches up to Evandro Dantas. If you will, lap 15 out of 17 already. This race has absolutely flown by, especially due to the action we had in the opening 5 or so laps.
Absolutely, and I love Diego Villarreal. Of course, the Super Formulas, primarily a racing series in Japan. So these guys out here, the Hondas and Toyotas battling it out. Of course, like we said, running the fixed setup out here, so there's not really an advantage to either of the vehicles. They're pretty much spec vehicles out here. But yeah, definitely there for Evandro Dantas, not having the wing, not having a great time. He's dropped already 6 positions from where he was on the starting grid, and now we see Simone De Mori hitting the pit lane. Not sure what's going on there. I mean, we've had already up to 5th place. Quite a bit of these guys already hitting the pits. So, like I said, Varian Carrick is not sure if there is a bit of an issue with fuel for some of these drivers out here, or quite frankly, what is going on. We don't have mandatory pit stops out here for heat number 2. So we'll have to check in with these drivers. Oh, looking like the wheels were coming off there for Simone De Mori. So again, we'll just have to check in with our drivers, see exactly what happened out here for heat number 2, that they had to hit the pits.
Yeah, I think he did change his wheels. Maybe he's going for the fastest lap. That's the only thing I can imagine changing your wheels for. I mean, he didn't have anything to lose. He was back at the back end. Going for the fastest lap will give him 1 extra point. So I think he's doing that. I'm also kind of confused of what that move was. Pedro Dean, though, still in P2 and 5 seconds behind. Both Valero and Dean made up 10 positions. That's a proper amount. I mean, going from P12 and P11 to P1 and P2 then. And they did it very quick as well, didn't they, Kevin? Within like the first 4 or 5 laps, they were already there. So very impressive from them.
Yeah, and speaking of fastest laps, that right now is held by Pedro Dean. So an absolutely blazing 125.384. So Pedro Dean right now, although he's in 2nd place, and just as soon as I say that, Gael Valero taking back the fastest lap. So I think these guys are now, with the white flag coming out, absolutely just been pushing it the last few laps. I mean, although they are pushing it, they are feeling very comfortable, really getting in that groove of things. So definitely Gael Valero, a 125.048. Man, that's just an absolutely crazy time that we got to see out here. Of course, that's faster than their qualifying times as well. So these guys just putting on a great show out here today. I mean, at this point, I'm wondering if it's really like, hey, this is just practice for maybe some of their other Super Formula races they're going to be doing, maybe some of the other open wheel races, other series that they may be involved in. Of course, these guys always putting in the work out in the iRacing officials. Gael Valero, over 9,000 I rating. Definitely, you know, he has been putting in the time over the years out here. So white flag is now, we're going to be following our leader, Gael Valero, who again, always calm, cool, and collected. Made a mistake in heat number 1, as well as Pedro Dean, both of these top drivers spinning out. There's no spin out so far out here in heat number 2. Gael Valero looking to be walking away, trying to get as much points as he can out here. Again, the previous AMX champion. He's won 2 championships in a row, looking to make it a 3rd in a row for him. So Gael Valero now coming back around the final turn. Here we go, folks. The checkered flag is out. It is Valero walking away with ease in heat number 2. Pedro Dean looking to follow it up as well in 2nd place. And Pedro Mora about 20 seconds behind them in 3rd. So Julian, I mean, maybe not as much of action after the after the first few laps out here in heat number 2, but nonetheless, I think you said Gael Valero was going to come out here, get a win today. I said Pedro Dean was going to come out and get a win, and both of those came true.
Well, we're getting better, that's for sure, with predicting the winner. I would say we're professionals that, wouldn't start gambling on AMX, but we're getting better, that's for sure. What a drive from the top two. I mean, I said it before, but getting into the lead that early and not making a mistake, keeping it cool, calm, and then go quickest on the second to last lap, where the tires have already done 16 laps or so. Of course, we're still waiting. Simon de Morahi to not get the fastest lap as he was out there. Van der Dant still out there with no front wing. He's still going to get P9, so still some points on the board for him.
And just like that too, as the drivers are making their way, some people asking, where do we bet? I mean, we don't really have anything betting. I mean, again, not sure how legal it is depending on where you are in the world to be betting on AMX. But hey, I'll leave that to you guys. But yeah, nonetheless, out here too. Great races early on AMX ZERO right now. AMX 5, things got a little bit chaotic. A little bit of drama at the end of heat number 1, beginning of heat number 2 drama. And these guys just kind of walking away with it there. But like we said, tomorrow as well, make sure to tune in for our AMX 15 Mini Enduro race. We only have one big race going on tomorrow. We'll be in the GTPs out at Monza. So that one should be a great one. Some of the drivers we haven't seen out here so far this weekend, hopefully going to show up for that tomorrow, as now we get some beautiful looks out here at the Nürburgring. Of course, your BenQ session winner, Gael Valero, and as well setting the fastest lap. So him and Pedro Dean, we're going to have to see where these guys come out in the official results for the day. But Pedro Dean coming in second place, just over 6.5 seconds behind Valero. Pedro Mura, third place. Coming in fourth place, we got Ayrton Reutemann. Fifth, Miguel Araujo. Sixth place, Vinny Dean. Seventh, Mauricio Lozano. Eighth, Diego Villarreal. Ninth, Evandro Dantas. 10th place, Simon de Mori. 11th place, Bruno De Carmo. And 12th, Martin Chico, who looked like he may have retired from heat number 2. So these guys out here, man, Julian, it was a lot of chaos going on early on. Things settled down a bit, and then back to the drama. I think the big thing on everyone's mind right now, probably the most memorable moments, is going to be those last couple laps of heat number 1.
Absolutely. I mean, my heart sank there when I first saw. I mean, we saw Bruno De Carmo having some issues with that turn. Then out of nowhere, Gael Valero, unforced error. I mean, yes, he was pushing hard, but you wouldn't expect it from a driver like him. And then on the final lap, with just one turn to go, Pedro Dean does it as well, and that 10-second lead eradicated to less than half a second. So what if Valero, of course, all of these ifs, if Valero would not have made his mistake, or would have been on one lap a second quicker, or maybe if he wouldn't even gone held up by Simon de Mori, he could have easily have gotten that race win. So Pedro Dean, he is lucky, kind of his stars there, just getting it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you mentioned, I think that was the big turning point. We had Simon de Mori just battling for his life, defending off Gael Valero, and that may have just been one of the key moments. You know, we got this kind of scene of, hey, when are these guys going to pit? And nonetheless, though, a big win for Pedro Dean. I know he's so excited about his results for today. Finally, getting past being a lot of these races this season so unlucky, now coming top the top spot. And we'll have to see, as now we're going to head it over into the interview room to speak to our drivers and really run down what was going through their minds today. So right now I'm joined by Pedro Dean. First of all, a big congratulations to Pedro Dean. How does it feel to walk away with that win in heat number 1?
It was pretty good, except for the last lap that I spun in the last corner. So, I mean, it was really good. I had really good pace, and I decided to pitch early so I can. No, I know I had good pace, so I didn't want to get involved into fights. So I just want to win, and I know if I didn't have anyone in my way, I could have the pace to win, and that's what happened.
Absolutely. And of course, on the timing screens, it was definitely back and forth between yourself and Gael Valero all the way qualifying and heat number 1, heat number 2. How do you recover for heat number 2 knowing you had that spin at the very end of heat number 1?
I didn't, I still won the race, so I didn't, back me off. I was just too careful and hit the curb in the wrong way. So if I just do the right way every time, I won't spin again. So that's what's happening.
Definitely. And I think I've said time and time again, that you've probably been in so many incidents that were just not at fault of your own throughout the seasons.
Yeah.
And now I said it early on at the very beginning of the race. I said, you know what? I think this guy has it in him. As long as he doesn't have the luck that he's been having lately, he's going to come out of here on top of that podium. And you proved me right. You proved everyone out here that you're out here one of the best drivers, especially in these open wheelers. I mean, going into that tomorrow, what was your strategy knowing you had to go into the pits for heat number 1? We saw you go in pretty early. What made you decide to do that so early in the race?
It's just, the guys in the front are pretty slow, so, you have to overtake them. And if you just have, no one in your front, you just do quali laps, and then it's what's happening. I was in pretty similar pace with Gael and Bruno, but I came back in front 4 seconds ahead because I pitched early and didn't fight anyone, so it was pretty worth it. That was my thought since the beginning of the race.
Well, it paid off big time out here today. Like I said, hopefully we're going to see you more on the podium throughout the rest of the season. Of course, we got tomorrow back in the GTPs out at Monza. We hope to see you for that. And once again, congratulations, Pedro. And we hope that, we'll see you in the interview room a lot more this season. I'm sure you're out there. Of course, got to see your brother out again today. It's always good to see both of you on track. But congratulations and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you, Kevin.
So just like that, I mean, we got to hear from the man himself, Pedro Dean, and it's great to see the comeback. Of course, the drama between himself and Gael Valero. Last lap, last couple of turns, just losing the car a bit, taking the curve, just trying to push it, and ultimately still holding on to that P1. So, like we said, hopefully we'll see more of them, but now we're going to check in on the results. I'm pretty sure everyone knows exactly who our top 2 are going to be, but it will be Gael Valero just barely besting Pedro Dean over. So right now, AMX 5 is the top 10. Gael Valero first, Pedro Dean in second, and in third place, we got Miguel Araujo. Going down the list, we got Simon de Mori in fourth, Pedro Moura in fifth, Bruno de Carmo sixth, Mauricio Lozano in seventh, Ayrton Royman 8th, Diego Villarreal in 9th place, and Evandro Dantas to round it out in that 10th place position. So, like we said, a lot of stuff going on out here. The consistency of Gael Valero, once again, going to be putting him in the points lead. He's trying to make it 3 championships in a row. I mean, we still have about 6 weeks left to see if he has what it takes. No doubt already being double the champion, but he has a lot of guys on his heels trying to get into that championship spot as well, Julian.
Indeed, and right now he is looking like the favorite, but if Pedro Dean is there every race, and he is getting quicker and he is getting closer and closer to Valero, this could get close come November, end of October.
Yeah, but just like that, folks, I mean, it's been a great day of racing out here so far. Make sure to come in tomorrow. Stay tuned live on Twitch and YouTube, where we will be heading over to AMX 15. Like we mentioned, the GTP cars, LMDH, whatever you may know them by. Going to be a great time out there. The hypercars out at Monza. I mean, just from the past, other special events, iRacing events, AMX, no matter where you've seen it, every single time we head out to Monza, it's going to be a bit of chaos, a bit of drama. But ultimately, now with AMX 15 Mini Enduro, these drivers are going to be looking to put it out tomorrow. Hopefully, a lot of the guys that we haven't been able to see lately will be participating tomorrow. Make sure to follow all of our social medias as well as subscribe to our Twitch and YouTube. We will be here every single weekend this season. But with that, I bid you adieu. It has been a great time signing off from AMX. I am Kevin alongside Julian. We'll see you all next time.